It's time for high school sports on the NCWLIFE channel. Today's broadcast of high school sports on the NCWLIFE channel is presented by Harvest Valley Pest Control, Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, Global Car Care, Confluence Health, Les Schwab Tires, Biosports Physical Therapy, Impact Auto Sales, the Highlander Golf Course and Grill, Town Toyota, Automocha, JDSA Law, and Weinstein Beverage. Now let's go live for all the action of tonight's coverage of high school sports on your home for local sports, the NCWLIFE channel.
Bowling season is upon us. No, we're not talking about college football. We're talking about bowling indoors here at Eastmont Lanes. And hello, everybody, and welcome to Eastmont Lanes for this matchup between the Wenatchee Panthers and the Eastmont Wildcats. I'm Eric Granstrom along with Jaylah Young. Jaylah, thanks for joining us here today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Eric.
So tell us a little bit about your background, because not only is she a pretty face, she's a good bowler too.
Yeah, so I actually grew up right here at Eastmont Lanes. I spent almost every weekend of my life actually in this house. And I bowled for the Wenatchee high school team. I was the 2016 captain, the year that the last time Wenatchee won a state championship.
Yeah, speaking of which, the last 4 state championships have come right through the Wenatchee Valley.
Yep.
Wenatchee 4 years ago, and then Eastmont the last 3 in a row.
Ooh, 4 years.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man.
So these teams have already met once this season. It came down to, they split the games in the Bakers. It came down to a pin count, and it was a very narrow difference between the two.
Yeah.
What are you expecting here today?
I'm expecting the exact same thing. Throughout my whole 4 years of high school bowling, that's exactly how every time we matched up with Eastmont, that's how these matches were. It was a very, very close game. It comes down to a make or break shot, usually based on the anchor. So I'm really looking to see some big things from Eastmont and Wenatchee's anchor bowler today.
I know there's the rivalry, but you guys also are teammates, really, between the two schools, right?
At least that's how it was my years. Yeah, we had the 4 girls on Wenatchee and then actually 3 or 4 on Eastmont. Those of us had grown up together from the time that we were 5 years old. So we grew up competitive, but also on the same team. So at the end of the day, as long as we kept the championship in the Valley, everybody was happy. Well,
and speaking of which, there's a 3-way tie atop the Big Nine standings coming into today, thanks to Eastmont knocking off Eisenhower yesterday. Both Eastmont, Wenatchee, and Eisenhower, all 5-2 coming into this one here today. So depending on what happens today and what comes after the new year, that'll determine whether districts is held right here at Eastmont Lanes. We'll come back and talk to the coaches as we continue with the pregame show. Coming up next, it's Big Nine Bowling, Eastmont and Wenatchee on the way next on the NCWLIFE channel.
My awesome is being able to share my passion for yoga. I found yoga in my mid-40s to help me kind of de-stress and calm down, and it actually changed my life. Washington Trust believed in me. I felt like, okay, they got my back. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna go for it. It actually makes you feel like more brave. I do have a lot of awesome in my life.
What's your awesome? Whatever it is, we'll help you get there.
What's your Automocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate for pita.
Definitely the espresso shakes.
My favorite is the mocha for pitas.
A peach Red Bull.
Well, the pregame show continues here on the NCWLIFE channel. I'm Eric Granstrom, joined by Jeremy Anders, who was the Eastmont coach not too long ago. You left it in the capable hands of Christy Bingy. We'll talk to Christy coming up. Now you're wearing a different uniform there, Coach.
Yeah, back to my alma mater of Wenatchee, and it's when I left with my full-time job, I left it in great hands with Christy. She's taken that program and kept the success going. And Wenatchee's had a great, successful program too. But I think now that both of our teams are back to that level again, where we're head-to-head, and you just never know who's going to win these matches.
Let's talk about this matchup here today. You come off a win yesterday against Davis. You watched down the alley as Eastmont helped you guys out and helped themselves out by knocking off Eisenhower. This is fun. You guys have met already this season. What can we expect here today?
Well, the first match came down to 14 pins. That tells you anything there. I mean, I've been on both sides of these matches, whether it's be the good side or the bad side, but there's never really ever been a clear-cut, winners for a long time. It's always been super close matches. You're going to get that today. You're going to get a close match. You got great bowlers on both sides of each side, and it's really going to come down to spare shooting. I think on either side, spare shooting is going to be big for us. It's this league though this year is crazy. You got some really close teams between ourselves, Eastmont, Eisenhower. Moses Slake has put their foot in there as well. So it's anybody's ball game, and we still got a whole entire half the season to go.
Yeah. Talk about your health. I know you've had some girls that have gone through some issues. How are you health-wise as you come into this match tonight?
We actually have two of our bowlers. We didn't have the first match against Eastmont, so that should help us out a little bit. It picks up our averages, probably puts up about 25, 30 pins more per game that we pick up with those girls being back and healthy despite that. So we're still not 100% full strength, but I think we're going to get there probably after Christmas break. And yesterday we bowled some great games yesterday, so I think that helps us in the confidence going into today's match.
We were talking with Jaylah just a moment ago about how these two teams use this same alley. They're kind of teammates until they play one another, right?
Yeah, we cheer for each other. We do some cheers back and forth to each other all year long, and we interact every single week. And for the most part, except for 2-3 days a year, we're pretty good friends. We're still great friends today, and you're going to see some interaction back and forth too. But I can tell you, both teams, no matter what, they circle this on the calendar. They can matter about the other matches, but it's the bragging rights. It's the Wenatchee Eastmont rivalry. They're friends, but maybe for a little bit today, they might be a little bit of rivalry.
Well, it takes an interesting intrigue to do today as well with sisters, right?
Yeah, we got sisters on both sides. The Ferguson sisters, one bowling for Eastmont, who's a freshman, a senior for Wenatchee. So that's always an interesting thing to see going head-to-head. So you got family things going on. You got families on both sides. You got past bowlers coming back to us. I'm pretty sure with it being sort of close to college break, we're probably going to see 4 or 5 different alumni from both programs in the crowd today. So it's a big match. It's going to be a big crowd. It's going to be a great day.
Well, we've got alumni on the broadcast joining us too with Jaylah Young. So we're going to take a break and come back, talk to Christy Bingy about how she sees this one and how much they could ride that wave that they started yesterday with a big one over Eisenhower. That's coming up next as we continue here at Eastmont Lanes on the NCWLIFE channel.
When the people you serve are your friends and family, you see the world a bit differently. You understand that your survival depends on the health and strength of your relationships. Your word is your reputation, and that doing the right thing is the only way of life that matters. At Confluence Health, we remain humble. Trust is a gift that is earned, a privilege, an honor. And we remain grateful for the trust you place in our hands.
Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning has been proudly serving the Wenatchee Valley for over 35 years. And just as Dick's has been there for you, they have also been an essential part of our community, supporting local youth sports all year long and your Wenatchee Wild.
Thanks for your support.
Thanks, Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, for all your support. Thank you.
Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, your local, independent, trained comfort specialist. Call 884-6444 today.
The pregame show continues here as we get ready for bowling at Eastmont Lanes between Eastmont and Wenatchee. Christy Bingy joining us now here on the NCWLIFE channel. First of all, we haven't had a chance to talk to you really since last year's state championship. Congratulations again, three-peat for Eastmont.
Thank you very much.
It's always a new year. You got new bowlers coming up. How's the season been for you guys so far?
Started out a little bit slow. But we're kind of in a rebuilding phase because a lot of the kids that were on that state championship team for 3 years, they've graduated. Every year we graduate students. And so, rebuilding and getting to know each other and kind of bonding and becoming a team. And that's really the most important part of it, is becoming a team, because you can't work together if you are fighting,
Well, and bowling is family, and especially here at Eastmont Lanes. And speaking of which, you have a lot of the younger siblings of those that have bowled for the program in the past that I recognize.
Yes. Brittany Hastings is here. Alicia graduated last year. And then Katie Hines, which is Samantha's younger sister. Yeah.
You guys had a huge win yesterday. The girls just were outstanding. How much of that wave can you carry into this rivalry match here today?
I have no idea, honestly. And it was a great match, and they were so excited, and I could feel the energy, and I could feel them feel the energy, and I think I told them, this is a feeling that you need to hang on to because you can carry this through and continue on. So we'll see how they are today.
Now, you're going against the guy who used to coach and be part of your program, and Jeremy. How is that? I guess you guys already rolled against each other once this year. How is that rivalry, friendship? How's that work?
It's not a problem. He went back to his alma mater.
Yeah.
So at first when he told me he was going to apply, it was like, oh, really? But that is, I totally understand. And honestly, to keep bowling the way it is in this valley, we need to have 2 good coaches at both the schools. So.
And that's been huge for the Wenatchee Valley. 4 state championships in a row that came right through here. District tournament has been right here for so many years in a row. Only one team, though, out of district this year advancing to the state tournament, right? That's a lot more pressure.
Right. It is a lot more pressure.
Well, I'll let you get the girls ready for today, and we're excited to watch this one.
Nice talking to you. Thank you.
Christy Bingham joining us here on the pregame show. We'll come back and get you the lineups and get you ready for bowling coming up next on the NCWLIFE channel. Highlander Golf Course is proud to announce their 2 new state-of-the-art full-swing golf simulators with over 80 courses of virtual golf to choose from year-round. Or try their Laser Shot simulated firearm program, or gaming with football, basketball, and much more. Enjoy Highlander food and drink service from their full-service bar and grill in the comfort of their simulator room. Call the Highlander Pro Shop to book your time at 884-4653. That's 884-4653. Welcome back once again here to Eastmont Lanes along with Jaylah Young. I'm Eric Granstrom here on the NCWLIFE channel as we have our starting lineups being announced here at Eastmont Lanes for this matchup between Eastmont and Wenatchee. Our starting lineups here on the NCWLIFE channel brought to you by TC Slingers. If it's rock, bark, sand, or soil, no need for wheelbarrows, shovels, or rakes. They'll place the material for you. Let's first start things off with the Wenatchee Panthers, who are the quote-unquote visiting team here today. Wenatchee coming in with a record of 5-2 and 5-2 overall. Leadoff bowler today will be Kayla Musgrove, is a junior. She holds a 164 average coming into the match here today. Second bowler will be Alicia Ferguson, a senior. It's interesting, one of 2 Fergusons that are bowling here today, and they're both sisters, but they're bowling on the opposite teams. How about that? Alicia has a 157 average coming into the match today. Mackenzie Monroe is a junior. She's averaging 154. Jaden Thompson is a senior, a 147 average, but boy, did she have a great match in the first game yesterday against Davis, where she rolled a 246, had 9 strikes in a row. Jaden Thompson getting the start along with Kyla Hankins, who is Miss Dependent here for Coach Jeremy Anders. She's a junior. She's got a 207 average on the season. That is by far tops in the Big Nine. Meanwhile, for the Eastmont Lady Cats, their head lineup here as they come in with a record of 5-2. They're 6-2 overall, as announced by their head coach, Christy Bingham. The leadoff bowler today will be just a sophomore, just in her second year of bowling ever, with a 167 average. How about that? Colby Hull. Second in the lineup here will be a freshman, Kate Ferguson. That's the sister combination we were talking about. And Kate has a 155 average. Olivia Ellington is a junior. She'll bowl third. She has a 157 average. Brittany Hastings is a junior, a 161 average. And Katie Hines, a sophomore with a 167 average. You look at those last names there, Hastings and Hines, and of course their older sisters also partook in the Eastmont program. Those are your lineups here today, brought to you by TC Slingers. Let's bring in Jaylah Young now to talk about this. And Jaylah, you had so many of these in your time at Wenatchee High School, of course, winning a state championship back in 2016. But the matchup between Eastmont and Wenatchee, a little different, isn't it?
Oh, it's totally different than any other team that Wenatchee or Eastmont will ever play.
So do you get nervous? Is it excitement? Is it, I guess it depends on each girl, right?
Yeah, it's definitely, for me at least, it was coming in, it was to bowl Eastmont as a Wenatchee Panther, it was nerve-wracking. It was horrifying because these were girls that I had grown up bowling with, and I knew their experience. I knew how good of a bowler they could be. I also knew their weaknesses. I knew how, when they would break down and when I could make my way in and when they would leave me a window. So, and that was really going to depend on me, how I could react and respond to what they were giving me.
So I assume you were the anchor bowler for your team?
Yes.
Okay. Talk about that real quick here, about the setup and what the coaches are looking at.
Mm-hmm.
You have a particular person you want to start you off, and then a particular person you want to finish you off on the anchor.
Yes.
Why? What are you looking for there?
So that really comes into play with your Baker games. Is you want to set up your lineup so that your leadoff bowler is going to give you a nice start. It's going to get the pace set, going to get everybody excited, and then you have your filler girls, which their role is also important because they are usually your more consistent bowlers. So that if we're say that your leadoff or your anchor is kind of struggling a little bit, your second, third, and fourth bowler are going to help kind of keep the pace going, and then to set up your anchor really nicely to come in and have a nice strong finish.
So it's 5 bowlers per team. However, the coach has the option of pulling somebody off the JV if somebody's struggling or whatever the case may be, and that can happen at any time during the match, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's one of those things, being a varsity player, you never want to have happen to you. You definitely want to be on your A game for the whole match, and it's definitely a frustrating thing to know that you have to, allow someone else to come in and fill your spot. But it's also when it's being, self-aware that, okay, I'm not really benefiting my team at the moment, and maybe we should get someone in here who can be a little more consistent.
Well, the Wenatchee Panthers start off with Kayla Musgrove rolling a strike, and that's a way to start things off. Meanwhile, here's Kobe Hull with 7 in her first ball, and Alicia Ferguson also with her first ball. And she will pick up 7 on the first go-around as we're underway here at Eastmont Lanes on the NCWLIFE channel. Thanks for watching bowling here today. And Earhart's Collision Center get a lot of free advertising here on the end of the alley here. Yeah. Kobe Hull unfortunately cannot pick up her spare. And so the sophomore will leave it open to start things off for Eastmont. Meanwhile, Alicia Ferguson looks like she'll pick up.
Oh, that's a gut-wrenching one.
that hidden pin back there. I was looking at the propensity of picking up spares here earlier today on a website as, will it fall?
Oh, jeez.
Tough break there for her.
I'm convinced they put glue out there.
Kate Ferguson for the Eastmont Lady Cats. Meanwhile, it is Mackenzie Monroe who got the start yesterday, but she was lifted during that match. But again, Jeremy Anders kind of had the advantage of being able to pull up some younger bowlers yesterday because of the match against Davis, not one of your typically strong teams out there. The pickup there for Kate Ferguson for Eastmont. So early going first frame for both teams. And starting that a little wide, that's going to stay wide for Mackenzie Monroe. Meanwhile, quick pace here as the ladies are getting up and get after it, and a little off the mark there for Olivia Ellington on her first ball. You look at the lineup here that Coach Christy Bingy has put out for Eastmont, and boy, you talk about consistency across the board. I mean, between those 5 bowlers, what is it, about a 161 average between the 5 of them. And that's interesting to watch, too. You see some teams that have somebody that's like Wenatchee, for example, with Kayla Hankins with a 200-plus average. But then it might fall off the cliff as far as the rest of the 4 bowlers are concerned.
Yeah, and I was just looking at that as well. That the consistency is really something that is a big, huge benefit factor for Eastmont. Is that, if you have one bowler who has a 207 average, and if she's having an off day, and everybody feels that. I mean, that's one of those things where if you're the bowler where they kind of expect that you're on your game, and if everybody else isn't on their game, it's kind of the whole team struggles. So to see the team be that in tune with each other and that consistent across the board is actually really awesome to see.
Jaden Thompson had that split. She's able to get 2. You saw her maybe wrinkling her fingers a little bit, got stuck on that ball. Meanwhile, Brittany Hastings, and boy, does she pack a punch.
Yeah,
I was
that
here
had some
yesterday.
heat on it.
It does. I had some opportunity to watch the match yesterday for Eastmont and Eisenhower. I was here last week as well for the Wenatchee Eisenhower match while Eastmont was bowling against Sunnyside here. And Brittany just, I mean, that ball just comes at those pins with a ton of energy. And starting out a little bit wide here on her first ball was Kyla Hankins. But she is masterful at picking up those spares. And there's another strike for Katie Hines. So a little slow start on the upper end of the lineup here for Eastmont, but they come through the end of the first frame with a couple of strikes in a row for Hastings and Hines. And meanwhile, Kyla Hankins is going to try to pick up these 2 remaining pins.
Nice.
And that's something too. I mean, they get a chance to practice for 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, but you really don't get those lanes necessarily dialed in as you start your first game, do you?
No, that, you know, my parents will always joke that I'm a first game warm-up kind of lady, that it takes me a whole first game of warm-up to kind of really get dialed into getting my body to be completely in tune and to find my spot on the lane and to really understand what my ball wants to do with the condition.
And nearly a strike there for Colby Hull on her second frame. Meanwhile, a split facing Kyla Musgrove, the junior for Wenatchee on the right lane here. Lines 7 and 8 is our varsity lanes here at Eastmont Lanes. That's a tough one to pick up. I guess you try to slide the left pin over into the right pin.
Yeah.
She's going to go right between the 2, get 1, and pin count, as we saw with the first match between these 2 teams, come down to pin count, and 13 pins separated the 2. So even when you get those splits, very really important to pick up as many pins as you can.
Oh, yes. You know, my parents are diehard believers in spares win games. Every pin counts. It can literally, I mean, it was witnessed my, the district game between us and Eastmont back in 2016 or 15 actually, going into the state championship year. It was down to 9 pins, I believe.
Speaking of a split, there's Kate Ferguson with a split on lane 7. Got that 8 pin and 10 pin hanging out there.
That's even worse than the last one.
Yeah,
you don't have as much angle to work with.
That's tough. Alicia Ferguson not able to pick up her spare on lane 8. Looking for 1, and if you get a break, get them both, sure, but you'll take 1 in that split, that's for sure. 8 in the first roll here for McKinsey Monroe in the second frame of this one. It's early on, but it is Eastmont ahead at this point. 81-74 on the pin count, but again, way early to be looking at that too much. Nice strike there for Olivia Ellington. And just off the mark for McKinsey Monroe. So Wenatchee open. A strike for Ellington. And now Brittany Hastings. I love the new, and we've got this on our screen here too, that you'll see on the bottom of the screen. The new giznology, as I like to call it here at Eastmont Lanes, with the velocity of your ball, and that's something brand new. And I'd be willing to bet of all of the 10 bowlers we have, Brittany Hastings has got to have the fastest ball out there. Although Jaden Thompson, look out, almost on the edge of the gutter there, but it is able to hold on to that ball. She kind of wiggled her hand around after her second ball on the spare attempt in that first frame, and I'm going to have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that Jeremy Andrews has had some problems with his ladies here so far this year is health.
Yeah, that's definitely a sign of some pain going on.
And just outside of trying to pick up that spare was Brittany Hastings, so she's open here in the second. Meanwhile, Jaden Thompson will try to pick up this.
Oh. Gosh.
Just off the head pin a little much. 1, 2, 4, 7. Different ways of picking that up. Do you like to attack that as a right-handed bowler from the left side of the head pin?
Oh gosh, no.
No?
Right side, all the way.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. My depends on who you ask. most people will say, I'm definitely try to get right in that 1-3 pocket and give a little bit of a, because exactly what you just saw there is it was just a little bit right of the head pin, which gave that 1-3 pin, or excuse me, the 1-2 pin, the opportunity to slide out of there before they got to that 4-7.
Right. Now we see a few of the girls, not a lot of them, but a few of them here will use a spare ball, if you will.
Yeah.
And Katie Hines leaves that one open as it slid just past. And typically the lanes, you know, they oiled them here earlier today, and they tend to be a little, I guess, more slippery as the match starts, and then kind of lose some of that oil as they go.
Oh yeah, and that's probably one of the most frustrating things as a right-handed bowler is majority of people who bowl are right-handed. So as the day goes on and more people are bowling, that right-hand side of that lane is going to break down really fast. I have a couple friends who are left-handed bowlers who we always make jokes that they only bowl so well because the left-hand side of the lane isn't touched.
Kayla Musgrove with a strike and trying to counter on the opposite side. Oh, goodness. Oh, Colby Hull thought she was going to get a strike, but no. And it looked like that pin slid over just enough. The 8 pin on that back row slid over just enough that the pin set can't come down all the way. Here's a strike for Alicia Ferguson. So a nice start for the third lane here.
And now we got a pin on lane 7.
Yeah, we do. Boy, we had that quite a bit yesterday where the pins were getting outside of the guard down there.
Yeah.
So Dave, we'll get some camera time here.
Smile, Dave.
And I don't know how often, maybe, do you know this little factoid here about how often pins are replaced? How long pins last before you have to, as a bowling alley, replace them?
It depends. It depends on how often they're getting used, and you know, they take a beating. The pin setters back there are not gentle, to say the least. So these pins will get beat up pretty quickly. We just replaced these ones actually within the last year or two. So these ones are pretty new. But I would say it's probably about every 10 or 15, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Score right now is 126 to 137. And 3 strikes in a row for Wenatchee as Mackenzie Monroe comes up.
Getting the pace picked up a little bit here for Wenatchee.
On the other lane, just a little bit high on the head pin there, was Olivia Ellington. Or excuse me, Kate Ferguson. We had that delay there with that pin that got kind of hung up. So Eastmont a little bit behind in the order of things here. But it is Wenatchee trailing it by 10. But again, we're very early here in this first game. And a nice pickup there for Kate Ferguson. Freshman coming through for Coach Christy Bingy. Our broadcast today on the NCWLIFE channel brought to you by Harvest Valley Pest Control. You can rest assured Harvest Valley Pest Control uses kid and pet safe material around your home or office. Call today for your free estimate.
Nice.
And
there we go, Eastmont.
Nice strike there for Olivia Ellington. That's her second in a row after being open in the first frame. Meanwhile, Jaden Thompson going to try to pick up this. And I don't know all of the terminology for the leftovers here. I know it seems everything has a name.
Yeah, some of them.
The 136, does that have a particular name?
No, at least not that I'm aware of.
Okay. we could call it the Jaylah.
Yeah, God, let's not do that. No, I don't want my name associated with that leave. No, my dad will argue the Jaylah leave is when you gutter it.
Oh,
so
goodness. Okay.
Yeah. So Brittany Hastings throwing a Jaylah there.
So looking at it positively, that just gives you a lot more to shoot at on your second ball.
Yes, exactly.
And again, you know, that could be something as simple as we talked about the amount of oil on the lane that gets on your hand, that gets on the ball, and suddenly it's slipping out and not a good grasp on it.
Yeah, there's just a huge amount of factors that could play into letting the ball go early. And, you know, and a lot of time it's a lot of people who don't understand the mechanics behind bowling think that it's just a a bowler error, that it
Right.
was, you know, your fault for throwing it in the gutter. But it's really, there are so many environmental factors. And see, look at that.
There's a nice spare there for Brittany Hastings. So that's a nice comeback.
Yes.
After a ball that slipped and went in the gutter. And well, and also like a person like Brittany that starts with that ball and has a lot of English to it. She starts that ball way outside. I mean, you're flirting with danger as soon as you let it go because you're over there by the outside board and by the gutter.
Yeah, yeah, within that first 10 boards on the right-hand side there of this lane, especially with how much oil there is currently, that can get a little dangerous if you don't have the right rotation behind your ball or on your hand. If you let go of it just 2 centimeters, 2 inches closer to you than to your mark, it could get dicey.
Katie Hines finishing up the third frame here. She's had 7 in her first ball, so she has a little work to do. This is one of those ones that can get away from you too. That pin on the back row there, that 8 pin can just,
we call those sleepers,
hide back there and say, and kind of, you know, if you imagine it, it's sticking its tongue out at you right now.
Yes. Well, that's the nicer term of what I refer to them as.
Flipping you the pin?
Yes, yeah. That's exactly what I always think of it as, especially with 10 pins.
We've got a little delay here on lane 8 again with
missing ball here.
Is that it? Oh,
Yep.
ball hasn't come back yet. So
Ball return has eaten the ball.
Issues. Our broadcast here today brought to you by Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort trained specialist, specializing in commercial and residential HVAC systems. Online at dicksheatingwenatchee.com. Also by Global Car Care, a quality auto repair facility with highly trained technicians celebrating over 25 years in the car care business.
Nice.
They speak your car's language at 1840 North Wenatchee Avenue. Nice pickup there for Katie Hines to wrap up the third frame for Eastmont. So right now through 3, it's Eastmont leading at 187 to 153. But Wenatchee working on 3 strikes from the last frame. Eastmont is clean in 4 of the 5 bowlers in their third frame. So interesting one here. Kayla Musgrove will get things going here on lane 8 for the Wenatchee Panthers. Beautiful strike.
Look at that. And that's going to be doing a lot of good for this Wenatchee team.
And Colby Hull trying to go Brooklyn on that one. Leaves the 6-10 pin behind. I don't know about you. I mean, you're obviously a much better bowler than I could ever hope to be. But leaving those pins on the outside, either it be the 7 or the 10, just, I mean, would keep me up at night.
Oh, yes. I still have, and see, and that's chopping of your, you know, a 4-7 or a 6-10 is, I would say, maybe even worse than leaving just a 7 or a 10.
Yeah. Because you would think about it. I mean, you got a ball and you got a pin to help you.
Yeah,
pick that
exactly.
up.
Yeah. Yeah, at least when you just got a 7-10, you're only shooting at 1.
Alicia Ferguson doing what she can to pick up as many pins as possible in that split for her. Meanwhile, Brooklyn side again, this time for Kate Ferguson with the strike for Eastmont.
Not enough
Almost
touch on
had
that
that
10
head
pin.
come out, but 9 in the first ball for Mackenzie Monroe.
See, there's that flipping you the pin.
It's mocking me as we speak. And again, Eastmont, boy.
Wow.
Going Brooklyn. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose necessarily, but Olivia Ellington will take that. Thank you very much.
Ooh, hold on.
No, just a little bit too wide there. Slips into the gutter for Mackenzie Monroe. Now, Brittany Hastings working off of a interesting gutter ball followed by a spare in the third. Here she goes with her ball in the fourth.
Ooh, another,
Wow.
a little high on that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not sure if it's a left lane thing or...
Here comes Jaden Thompson trying to get in the groove here, and washout, right? Did I get that right? That's a washout? Okay,
Yep.
all right. The one I remember.
Yeah.
Because I would leave that one a lot. Now talk about picking this one up. You don't want to go to the pocket side of the head pin on this, right?
If you're a right-handed bowler, no. You want to be on that 1-2 side.
Meanwhile, Brittany Hastings can only pick up one of the 2 remaining on lane 7. So Jaden Thompson wants to come a little left of the head pin here and slide that over and kick out the 10. While the ball picks up the other 2 remaining. See how she does here. And it started out right, stays right, and gets just one. And again, just getting used to the lanes and how they're reacting to the ball and how they're reacting to your shot.
Yep.
I see that a lot here in the first game.
Yeah, and in that shot there, it looks like she was coming up short. So it's interesting to see on the right-hand side, we got some people coming up short of the pocket. And the left-hand side, we got people coming up really high.
And speaking of high again, Brooklyn side for every one of the bowlers, I think, in that 5 for that frame for Eastmont. And Katie Hines will certainly take that strike. Meanwhile, here comes Jaylah Hankins. Oh, touch it, wibble,
my
wobble.
gosh.
Oh, but it won't fall down. She'll have the 7 left to pick up her spare. Working off of a strike. She's got one open frame through, excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong side there. Yeah, it was. So working off of a couple of open frames in a row. So not typical for Jaylah Hankins, that's for sure. Nice pick up there for Jaylah Hankins.
That's definitely you can kind of see there she took a little bit of a
breathing
a little bit of a breather there. Yeah, that definitely takes some weight off the shoulders.
Eastmont on top, 283 to 226 here as we head to the 5th frame of game 1. And Colby Hull on lane, excuse me, it's Kayla Musgrove on lane 7. Here on lane 8 is Colby Hull, and she gets a strike. So how old were you when you first started like bowling and kind of knew that this is what you're doing?
3.
3?
I got my first bowling ball the Christmas when I was 2.5. It was a yellow Tweety ball.
You're kidding me.
Yes.
Oh
and
gosh.
that summer, the summer I turned 3, we were bowling at at the bowling alley almost every weekend and getting to practice.
Open there in her ball, and here comes Kate Ferguson, a little high on the head pin. Has 1 left to pick up here. 3 years old. Of course, we gotta talk about your family though. Your family is a bowling family.
Yes, my mom, dad, and I are. My sister was never her thing. She was always into other sports
But she got drugged to the alley with you too, right? I mean.
Yeah, most of the time. Up until the time she was old enough to actually stay home, she got to watch Big Sis and Dad bowl.
Chose not to partake in what was happening on the weekend with the.
Very, very rarely. Every once in a while she would shoe up with us and hit the lanes, but. Yeah, for the most part, she was not I tried to get her onto the bowling team when she was in high school, but she had other things in mind.
So, have you ever sat and figured out maybe how many games you have bowled in your lifetime? I mean, starting at 3, for goodness sakes.
Oh gosh, I think
tens of thousands. The
only million member club I would ever hit is games bowled, probably. Yep. I probably will never hit the Million Mile Flyer Club. Never maybe make $1 million, but million games probably sounds pretty good.
Kate Ferguson trying to pick up the 1 remaining and looking good. Nice job for Kate to pick that up. As all bowling came to a halt there for a moment while they got things figured out. I think it was a ball return problem again.
That's a very common one these days. A ball return issue and then a 180 on the lanes. Ooh.
Beautiful ball there for Olivia Ellington. And following suit.
Nice.
How about that? Excuse me, that's Olivia. It was Alicia Ferguson on the other lane.
This is when it gets interesting, is when you have the two a Wenatchee and an Eastmont up there, and one, sets the tone, the other one responds.
Yeah.
That, exact same way. It's like, okay, here we go.
I expect them to break into song.
Yeah.
Anything you can do, I can do better. As Mackenzie Monroe, speaking of which, follows up, says, I can strike too.
Yeah, leaving it up to Brittany here, saying, okay, your turn, come and get me.
There we go. Brittany's still kind of getting things dialed up here in this first game.
Oh! I was like, wait, don't speak too soon there, Eric.
She's got that 2-8 left, and again, that sleeper pin on the back line there. That can be a tough one to deal with.
This one, especially if you're a player who has a lot of hook behind your ball, you really want to hit that 2-pin dead on.
We've got a substitution in for Wenatchee as they have pulled a JVer. Dan, can you help me get her name? She's a new bowler for Wenatchee. Jaden Thompson, in fact, just came from behind us here. We saw the hand. She was wiggling her hand, and now they have replaced her here in the lineup, looks like, for the Wenatchee Panthers. So Jaden Thompson is out, and here, go ahead and write it down. But she picks up her spare, so a nice job there for the replacement bowler for Wenatchee, who is Cammie Carter. Okay, Cammie Carter now bowling for Jaden Thompson. And does a nice job picking up her spare.
Like we said earlier, that's a frustrating thing to have happen, especially not just for the particular bowler, but for the team in general, because you know that your teammate is struggling a little bit.
Absolutely.
Nice one from
nice
Kyla.
strike there for Kyla Hankins. Seems that she's back on track after a spare and now a strike, and a nice pickup for Katie Hines.
This is where
between Katie and Brittany too, they bowl with a lot of velocity, that's for sure.
For sure. And this is where the match gets awesome. It gets intense because now everybody's starting to kind of dial in and figure out where they want to be. So the intensity is going to start to show up a little bit more.
372 to 303 as we head to the 6th frame, and a little missed throw there for Kayla Musgrove. Kobe Hull, the sophomore for Eastmont, with a roll on lane 7.
Just tad bit high there.
See, after watching her bowl yesterday, she was so positive. No matter what was going on out there with her throws, she would come back and she just have a smile on her face and, okay, all right, well, that's interesting.
That's the best thing that you could do as a bowler, because this game is, you know, mainly mental. Majority of this game is the composure you can have together and the process you can go through in your mind to how do I want to attack this. So stepping up to the lanes like that, just saying, you know what, I'm going to give it my all.
And here she goes.
Ooh, that looks good.
Start. Oh, my goodness. She gave that all that she could.
That was actually a really great attempt at that. Really great.
Alicia Ferguson with 7 in her first ball here on lane 8 as we are in the 6th frame of this one. Eastmont leading it early. They play 2 games and then 2 Bakers. And how about that? Another strike for Kate Ferguson. She's got 2 strikes so far in her game. And now the pickup attempt for Alicia Ferguson.
Oh.
Boy, sometimes it's just luck, too, or lack thereof.
Yes. Never posed the question to my father if bowling has any luck involved. He will go on about that one.
Oh, is he of the belief there is no such thing as luck?
That's what he'll say, but he'll say it very sarcastically.
And Mackenzie Monroe now started that one out a little wide. 2 remaining for her. Meanwhile, for Eastmont, Olivia Ellington does a nice job of picking that one up. Eastmont going with the skirts this year. I don't think they had that in the past that I remember seeing.
Yeah, I was noticing that they've got you get a choice as a girl, as a lady bowler, to either wear slacks or an athletic skirt. And most of the time, the slacks are the more comfortable option, just for the sake of the bending and everything.
Sure.
And especially, you know, length these days.
Brittany Hastings looking for Brooklyn help there, but leaves 1 pin remaining. Again, both teams just not quite the groove that I saw yesterday. As Eastmont came in with that match against Eisenhower, the #1 team of the Big 9 coming in yesterday, knowing that they really needed to blow well, and boy, howdy did they, as they erased an 11-pin deficit heading into the 10th frame of the first game yesterday and came up with the victory. Nice pickup there for Brittany Hastings as Eastmont continues to lead this one. And again, this is Cammie Carter who's taking over for Jaden Thompson. Now, Jaden went over a few lanes, and I don't even know if she's bowling on the JV floor right now. She could just have an injury that's just going to keep her out for the day, and that's really too bad for the Wenatchee Panthers. Katie Hines now for Eastmont, bowling on the lane 7 on the left side. And that lane 7 is giving both teams some problems.
Yeah.
They just can't quite seem to get that slickeriness figured out.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing.
That's my technical term, by the way.
Slickeriness.
Slickeriness.
Slickeriness. Yeah, that's I think that's one of the toughest parts about bowling is that no lane is going to be the same. You really have to be able to adapt and adjust to every shot, because even you jump from 7 to 8, say from frame 1 now in the ending the 6th frame, these lanes have already broken down a little bit. They're already starting to change, and so you're already having to adjust your shot.
Jaylah Hankins doing a nice job of figuring out lane 8 as she strikes for the 2nd frame in a row. And we're through 6 here at Eastmont Lanes, with Eastmont leading at 461 to 379. As now we are in the latter portion of it. You start setting up your 10th frame right here in the 7th.
So this is where that strong finish really comes into play here.
And Kayla Musgrove struggling with her release points right now. Colby Hall, meanwhile, with a strike for Eastmont. Eastmont continues this way. They're going to find a commanding advantage here in the first game.
Yeah, and that's it's not an uncommon thing to see here between these two teams, is to see usually Eastmont will take the lead in the first game because Wenatchee usually needs a little bit of time to get in the groove.
Nice pick up there for Kayla Musgrove. That's not the easiest one to pick up, but she's able to do it nicely. So a spare for her. And now on the right lane, it's Eastmont's Kate Ferguson. She's had a couple of those here in this first game that tickled the ivory over on the far side, but just couldn't quite get any contact with that 10-pin.
Yeah.
Alicia Ferguson, Brooklyn. We're seeing a lot of that on lane 7.
Yeah.
Now here's that pin that mocks me. And hopefully it doesn't mock her. Oh, it does. Kate Ferguson can't quite pick that one up. But that's okay. You can get in line with the number of bowlers that 10-pin will haunt you in your dreams.
Yep.
And the second ball for, I didn't know if that ball was going to have enough to hang in there, but Alicia Ferguson's able to pick it up. And the first ball here in the 7th for Olivia Ellington. That 10-pin, there it is again.
Yep.
Mackenzie Monroe for Wenatchee. That ball looks a lot better.
Ooh,
there you go. That's a kiddo. Strike for Mackenzie. And
hold on there. Beautiful.
Yes. Not so much movement that we're seeing on lane 8.
Yeah.
Olivia Ellington picks up her spare. She's working on a 146 and counting right now. Again, Cammie Carter. And how tough is that, too, to be pulled off the JV floor and go, hey, by the way, we need you to come over here and roll varsity. And it's against our arch rival.
Yeah. It's definitely a
daunting thing.
Yeah, it definitely would be. But, I mean, I'm sure all the JV go into these matches knowing that it could happen.
Right.
Just be okay, be prepared.
I think it was that 5-pin just wiggled there. Wiggled, but would not fall down for Cammie Carter. Here comes Brittany Hastings.
Oh, my goodness.
Boy, what is with that 10-pin?
Somebody double check there's no glue under that thing.
I think there's super glue down there. Never mind the fact that the pin setter picks it up every time.
Yeah, right? I think our theory is a little busted there.
So here comes Cammie Carter again, trying to pick up this tough one. And no, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh. Oh my.
I gave up on that too early, so did she.
Yeesh.
All right, Brittany Hastings trying to pick up that 10.
Oh.
Hang on. Oh. Goodness. We're seeing a lot of closes, but not
yeah,
quite.
that's a common theme. Close, but no cigar.
Jaylah Hankins. Miss consistency here for Wenatchee. And she'll go Brooklyn. Right. She'll take it.
Yeah.
Look at her faces. Yeah, that's not where I meant it to go, but I'll take it. Katie Hines. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Washout. See, she had a great washout pickup last night in the match, as they had already won the first Baker, so they were going to win the match against Eisenhower 3-1. And it came into this ball. Eastmont was down by 4 pins in the 10th of the final Baker. She had to pick this up, in order to give Eastmont a chance to win the final Baker. And she was able to pick it up. Oh, I was trying to give her a little good juju there. It doesn't happen, but she was able to pick up that washout and then strike to finish.
Nice.
And Eastmont got the 157-147 win yesterday against Eisenhower in that second Baker to complete the 4-0 sweep of Eisenhower. And that was interesting. And Eisenhower came out strong yesterday and then kind of wilted as the game progressed, and Eastmont just continued to be consistent.
Yes.
And that was a huge difference in that match yesterday as Eastmont picked up the victory.
That's exactly where being level-headed and keeping your cool is going to really benefit your team. And, you know, it's funny you notice the things where, like that washout, moments of pressure like that are when it, like, turns a switch in our brains and just says, okay, it's now or never. I need this.
Kayla Musgrove trying to pick up that final pin. She does so nicely. Colby Hall, meanwhile, has got a lot left over.
Oh, man.
Going to split that up and be open here in the 8th for the Wildcats. Kate Ferguson will step up on the left, but first it'll be her sister Alicia who steps up on the right lane here for the Wenatchee Panthers.
I think this is such a cool dynamic here to see sisters on opposing teams now on the lanes at the same time.
She'll have 3 to remain. Wouldn't that be something if her sister gets 7 in this ball as well?
I'd be funny if they left the same thing.
Don't think so.
Oh,
close. The freshman of the two sisters for Eastmont, the senior of the two sisters, Alicia, trying to pick up these final 3 here in the 8th frame.
Oh, man.
Just cut it a little bunch.
Kicked a little too hard.
So she is open. Meanwhile, sister asking for a little
a little extra love there.
Didn't get it. So she's open as well in the 8th. Mackenzie Monroe now for Wenatchee. Wastes no time at all. Hurling that ball down the alley. She'll have 3 left. And Olivia Ellington for Eastmont. Again, will go Brooklyn side and have 3 left as well. Our broadcast today brought to you in part by Confluence Health, dedicated to improve their patients' health with safe, high-quality care in 12 communities throughout North Central Washington. Also by Les Schwab Tire Store. Go online to leschwab.com to find a tire store near you. Doing the right thing matters. That's Les Schwab. Beautiful pickup for Wenatchee's Mackenzie Monroe. A little high.
Oof.
Oh, but nice job clipping the one and getting the rest for Olivia Ellington for Eastmont. So Eastmont continues to do just enough to maintain their lead here as a team in this first game.
Yep.
And I think you go down and ask these ladies after this is over today and ask them about this first game. They're going to all say, yeah, I'd rather forget about that first game.
Yep, that's usually the general theme. And most people, like I said, take a game to figure it out. But the second game is always when it gets awesome. Second game in Baker, because they've figured out a little bit. And
Brittany Hastings, a little high on the head pin there. She'll have a tough pickup with 2 remaining.
that one's a fun one.
And again, Cammie Carter filling in for Jaden Thompson here for Wenatchee. It'll be interesting to see what Coach Jeremy Anders does. Oh, just missed on that head pin. For game 2, and see who Jeremy might tab to come up and roll with the varsity. Meanwhile, 2 left here. Tough pickup.
Ooh.
She'll get 1. Well, Brittany Hastings.
Nice.
Kyla Hankins, meanwhile, just
getting it
a
together.
model of consistency with 4 strikes in a row. Let's see, 3's a turkey. What's 4 in a row?
That is a ham bone.
Ham bone. See, I've never had that happen before, so I don't know anything about the ham bone.
I don't, and I'm trying to remember. I don't think there's one for 5. I think that's when.
Well, another one we got to come up with. Okay, how about we call that the Jaylah?
Okay. Well, I mean.
5 strikes in a row.
I would prefer 11. That would be my.
Sure. Okay. That's called a perfect game.
No.
Oh wait, no.
No.
Yeah, okay.
12 would be your
12
perfect.
would be the perfect game.
Yeah.
Have you ever bowled a 300, by the way?
No, that's why I said I would claim the 11. my high game's a 299. I actually had the first front 11, and then I left a freaking 7-pin.
And you still, I mean, that's raw emotion right there,
Oh,
folks.
I was, yeah.
To this day.
Like I said, it keeps me up at night.
Okay. 593 to 541 as we head to the 9th frame here. They switch sides, and over on the left side, lane 7 is Kayla Musgrove for the Wenatchee Panthers. Again, that ball starts just the way they want it to be, but then it just catches towards the latter portion of the alley there. Colby Hull will have a couple remaining. It looks like a mirror out there with the 2 pins on either side. Appreciate you joining us here on the NCWLIFE channel, giving you a little different perspective here this year with our bowling coverage, with addition of scoreboard, which they've added to the Giznology here at Eastmont Lanes. So we'd like to include that too. Kayla Musgrove just off the mark. Meanwhile, Colby Hull trying to cross it over here and looking good. Nice pickup. So much more difficult, I imagine, for a right-handed bowler to pick up those 2 pins on the right side than it is on the left side across your body.
Yes, 100%. That's why most right-handed bowlers will tell you they really don't like leaving 10 pins.
Yeah. For the Wenatchee Panthers, Alicia Ferguson, her sister Kate, meanwhile, steps up on lane 8. She has an interesting release where I think, is she going kind of backwards with her fingers towards the pins when she releases it?
Yeah, bit of a backhand.
Yeah, it's a little different. 3 pins remaining for older sister Alicia. Oh, goodness. Just no love on the lanes here in game 1 for either team, really.
Brutal.
Crossing it over. Hold on. Yes, she was able to get it. Did Kate Ferguson. So Eastmont setting themselves up pretty good for the 10th frame here. A couple of pickups in a row, a couple of spares in a row. And when you think you've got it figured out and it's going to give you a little help, it doesn't.
Yep. Just when you think you're comfortable, it likes to give you a little bit of a curveball.
Olivia Ellington. Nice strike there. Meanwhile, Mackenzie Monroe will have some work to do here in her 9th. Wenatchee's open for the first 2 bowlers. And Mackenzie trying to change that up here. And that looks good.
Yes.
Nice job.
Wasn't sure if that was going to give a little bit of a hook at the end there or not.
Brittany Hastings, it is a non-typical game for Brittany, who has a 161 average, but she has just struggled figuring out the lanes until now. Beautiful strike for Brittany to set up her 10th frame. And you finish strong like that. Doesn't matter what happened over the previous 7 frames. If you finish strong going into your 2nd game, can that carry over?
Oh, you know.
You hope.
You hope. You hope that you are in the right headspace to be able to put that game behind you and just say, okay, it wasn't my best. Didn't figure it out as soon as I wanted to, but then hopefully you leave that behind you and you go into the 2nd game with a new mentality.
4 left remaining here for Cammie Carter for the Wenatchee Panthers. That's looking pretty good. Oh, she got it.
There we go. Woof.
Katie Hines, meanwhile, with a couple of tough to pick up. Doesn't get the pin action she was hoping for. So Katie is open here in the 9th as we head to the 10th frame. Eastmont well out in front at 660 to 591 for the Wenatchee Panthers. 1 more ball to go here in the 9th for Kyla Hankins, who is
get over.
almost got enough pin action to pick up her 5th strike in a row.
It's all right. She gained some nice pin coverage for Wenatchee.
So Kyla with just 2 open frames in the 2nd and the 3rd. She's covered the rest of it. 4 strikes in a row heading into this 9 ball in the 1st roll here of the 9th frame. Trying to pick up the 7 pin to head to her 10th. Nice job by Kyla Hankins. And that is just practice, 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 practice.
Yes.
Kids at home watching. Oh, goodness.
Got something funky going on 6.
Yeah. We had the ball go down while
the pin setter
was coming down. So here we go to the 10th. And that's a way to start it for Kayla Musgrove.
That's a nice feeling, getting
Colby
up there on that 10th frame.
Gonna have to go Brooklyn. She's got 2 remaining here. Kayla Musgrove, we know, can do much damage if she gets going here. Already sitting at a 148 with 2 balls to go here in the 10th. Gonna have to go Brooklyn.
Ooh.
Yes.
It's one of those moments where you're just praying it'll hold on just to give you what you're looking for.
Colby Hull trying to split the gap. Oh, almost, but she's open. And she will finish with a 121 here for the Eastmont Wildcats in game 1. Kayla Musgrove would feel much better if she could strike out here in the 10th. Would help close that gap a little bit here too. Started it way left, went left, double hands up. Well, what can I do? 161.
It's all right.
Kayla Musgrove, the junior for the Wenatchee Panthers.
Brings us down to only a 34.
Ooh, washout here for Kate Ferguson. Sister Alicia steps up on lane 8 for the Wenatchee Panthers. Nice start. 7 in her first ball. I was talking with some of the parents yesterday here at Eastmont Lanes about the interesting approach. She picked up 3 of the 4, so Kate's game is done, and she finishes with a 149. Nothing to sneeze about there with her 155 average. So right there in the neighborhood. Meanwhile, Sister Alicia finishing up. Oh, just missing that one. And so she will finish with a 117. Alicia's got an interesting release where her right foot is forward when she releases the ball with her right hand. Olivia Ellington will take the strike however it happens. Her look of relief on that one. Mackenzie Monroe trying to finish strong here for Wenatchee.
Oh my goodness, looking for that similar response.
Second ball for Olivia. She'll have 8 and 2 more to go. And how about Olivia Ellington? Sitting at 219 right now, game high. Very quietly put together a fantastic game for the Wildcats. Open there for Mackenzie Monroe. She'll finish with a 136. And nice job of picking up there for Olivia Ellington. She finished was a 221. How about that? Came to play today. Cammie Carter, first ball in the 10th. We'll have 3 remaining for Wenatchee. Olivia Ellington was just asked by one of the fans here what her high game was. I think, did I hear her say 224 was her previous high? And coming close to that with a 221, Brittany Hastings here. Meanwhile, for Eastmont, got the pins to fly, but just couldn't get the 7 to agree with the rest. Second ball for Cammie Carter. Oh. Not quite. So between she and Jaden Thompson, a 96. Brittany Hastings, meanwhile, it's been kind of an adventure for her to try to pick up these lone pins remaining. That one is right on the money. Nice job. Our broadcast today brought to you in part by Biosports Physical Therapy. Find them online at biosports.net. It's open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Well, Kyla Hankins has been money ever since the second frame, or the third frame, I should say. Here she comes with her first ball in the 10th and strikes. She'll be above her average, I would assume, in this one. Average coming in at 207. Meanwhile, Brittany Hastings has one more ball to go in her 10th frame here of game 1. Trying to help Eastmont hold on to the advantage they have right now. Looks like the Wildcats going to win this first match or this first game, and she will strike to finish up. So a nice strong finish by Brittany Hastings. She'll finish with a 141.
Ooh,
Kyla Hankins looking for some help from the bowling gods. One left over.
I'll give you a personal experience. They're not very nice.
You can't depend on them, can
you? No. They have a funny timing.
Katie Hines, the sophomore for Eastmont, steps up here in the 10th. When I first saw her here a week ago, I thought Samantha Hines was back.
Right?
She looks very much like her sister. Nice pickup for Kayla Hankins.
I thought the same
Kyla with
thing.
one more to go.
She held the door before me when I came in, and I was like, Sam?
I saw Sam here yesterday. I don't know if she's here today or not. Katie's pickup attempt.
Nice.
Beautiful job there. One more ball to go for Katie Hines. Kyla Hankins, meanwhile. Oh, she finished. Okay, 205.
Just
for
under.
Kyla. Just under her average there. Katie, one more ball. There it is.
Nice.
Nice way to finish for Katie Hines. And a nice way to finish for the Eastmont Wildcats as they pick up the victory here over Wenatchee in game 1. 780 for Eastmont to 715 for Wenatchee. We will take a break and come back, get you ready for game 2 coming up. It's Eastmont and Wenatchee. It's Big 9 Bowling here today on the NCWLIFE channel. We'll be right back.
My name is Brian Thorpe. I own Global Car Care in Wenatchee and have been here for about 25 years.
Brian started Global Car Care as Brian's automotive alternative on Orondo Street.
Some customers were following Brian since Brian's automotive time.
No, we're just grateful to be part of this community. This is where I grew up. We want to do our part to be a valuable part of this community. We want to thank you for trusting our business for 25 years.
JDSA Law is a proud sponsor of these local sports broadcasts. They've been serving North Central and Eastern Washington since 1946. For over 70 years, their team of dedicated professionals has delivered quality, innovative legal services. JDSA Law partners with you to provide the finest legal advice and support as you navigate your personal and business challenges, risks, and accomplishments. At JDSA Law, they salute our local athletes and wish them well on another excellent season of competition.
Welcome back once again here to Eastmont Lanes along with Jaylah Young. I'm Eric Granstrom on the NCWLIFE channel and a cast of 10s here at Eastmont Lanes. I actually thought the crowd was going to be bigger than this here today. But, you know, it's mid-afternoon on a Wednesday. Hard to get out of work and do all that stuff. Our broadcast here brought to you by Impact Auto Sales. They strive to impact your life, not your wallet. You can expect a hassle-free car buying experience at Impact Auto Sales in Wenatchee. Also by Highlander Golf Course and Grill. Call the Pro Shop to schedule your time on their full swing S4 widescreen golf simulators at 884-4653. Plan your next tournament or event today. Also by Town Toyota, your automotive home to quality and reliability in North Central Washington. Well, Jaylah, it looks like Jaden Thompson is going to come back in for Wenatchee. They are not the same team without her in the lineup. I mean, that's pretty evident.
Yeah, whenever you have someone who's substituted out, it's not the same dynamic. It's not the, you know, because usually you practice within your lineup. So you usually have your varsity that practices together and your JV practice together. So it's got a different feel to the dynamic.
Jaden had an ice bag that was on her hand or thumb. We saw her with one of the first balls she threw right as she released it, she kind of was wiggling her hand a little bit, so had some sort of an injury of some sort, but it looks like with a conversation that happened in between games here with their coaches, with Jeremy Anders, looks like Jaden's going to try to tough it out and get back in the lineup here for the Wenatchee Panthers, and they can certainly use her 147 average, with the Eastmont coming out on top in game 1 here today, 780 to 715, led by the 221 from Olivia Ellington, much higher than her average of 157. Meanwhile, Panthers countered with the 205 for Jaylah Hankins, and again, that's just right in her wheelhouse.
Yep.
Appreciate you joining us here on our broadcast today on the NCWLIFE channel, and hope you had, let's see, this broadcast will be coming to you after Christmas, so hope you had a Merry Christmas. What's the best bowling-related gift you ever received? I guess 3 years old when you got your very first ball?
Ooh, I've had a handful, yeah. 3 when I got my first bowling ball, and then as I got older, in my high school years, I got new shoes.
Ooh.
Yes, that was a big...
I know, I should have told you to wear your shoes today. We had our pregame.
I didn't get the memo.
I had the, well, I've got the rental shoes from back here, so it's...
Yeah.
And that's the joke about bowling, of course, is the whole rental
shoe ordeal.
We'll talk more about that coming up. Meanwhile, we're back on the lanes here, and Kayla Musgrove had a good finish to her first game and starts off here a little bit outside the pocket. She'll have 3 to pick up, but that's doable, certainly, for her. A high percentage spare opportunity. Meanwhile, Colby Hull, who had a 121 in her first game, is going to go opposite again, and the release point just doesn't seem quite consistent here for the sophomore so far. But, you know, your second year ever bowling, that's got to be the hardest thing, is to be consistent about anything you're doing.
Oh, yes. I think it took me about 18 years to learn to be consistent.
And a state championship to boot. So that shows right there. 1 for Musgrove. Meanwhile, Hull, nice job picking that one up. So she is clear through the first. And it will be Alicia Ferguson next up here for Wenatchee. And a beautiful start for her. I just love that. I don't have that happen very often, but that strike when they all seem to fall down all at the same time.
Yeah.
I just love that. I don't know. Do you have a term for that? Is it just?
I do, but it's probably not appropriate.
Oh. Well, that was, you know, I was thinking about that. And we've got the camera that's pointing at the faces of our ladies here today.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when you have the entire gallery to your backside and the coaches to your backside and everything else, and you're staring down at the pins, you could probably get away with saying some things that aren't necessarily appropriate, or at least wording them with your mouth.
Oh, yep. I am no stranger to that one. I was notorious for the times that we had the Wenatchee World down here taking pictures.
Oh.
I had horrible faces in all of them.
And unfortunately, Mackenzie Monroe is not able to pick up her spare. Kate Ferguson has the 3-6-10 remaining. We've got junior varsity that's down in lanes 6 and 5 and 6, and so you got the etiquette is to wait until the person next to you is finished, and a nice pickup there for Eastmont's Kate Ferguson. And here comes Jaden Thompson. We'll see. Oof. She'll go Brooklyn there.
All right.
But we'll see how that release is for her, because it definitely was her bowling hand, the right hand, that she was having some issues with.
You can see a little bit of the look of that she's in pain on her face.
Meanwhile, going Brooklyn here. Oh, and a split left over for Olivia Ellington after a great 221 in her first game. That's how she'll start the second. She'll come back and retrieve her spare ball here. Meanwhile, Jaden Thompson, I'm sure she would just love to pick this up and get off to a good start, and it does not for her.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. If it had just a little bit more
Olivia
lane.
will pick up one of the 2 remaining, so she is open in the first. And Jaylah Hankins for Wenatchee after a 205 in her first. She'll start things off. Oh, that's 7. How did it escape the carnage of those other pins coming its way? Somehow is able to. Brittany Hastings, meanwhile, will step up on Lane 7 for the Eastmont Lady Cats after a 141 in her first game. A little bit high. Nudge, nudge, no. 1 remaining. Kyla's going to try to pick up this 7-pin remaining, and a model of consistency she does for the Wenatchee Panthers. Is it contagious? Can it be contagious if you have your leadoff bowler get a strike or get something that happens well, and then suddenly it's a little juice of electricity that can flow through the rest of the lineup?
I would say yeah. I would say yeah, that if your leadoff bowler goes up there and strikes, it's like, okay, girls, let's go. We also have a little, what are we looking for? Like a enticement, I would say, that if you're the only person on the lane who doesn't strike or doesn't spare, you get stuck and usually end up having to buy the team like a soda or a candy bar. So
okay.
yeah,
added pressure.
Exactly.
Goodness.
You don't want to be the one buying treats for everyone.
Meanwhile, Katie Hines starts her second game off with a strike here for the Eastmont Lady Cats. And I love that. I mean, they bowl against each other here, but giving high fives all the way around.
Oh yeah, these two teams are. I think a lot of people expect to see some bad mouthing and some trash talking, and you won't see that between these two teams.
I mean, if they do, they wouldn't get through it without cracking up laughing.
Oh yes, yeah. There may be some insults, but they're jokingly.
Kayla Musgrove, meanwhile, picks up all but that 10-pin in her first ball here in the second frame. Colby Hull, meanwhile, the sophomore for Eastmont, will step up. It's hard to talk about for you because you started when you could barely even walk, for goodness sakes. But you've been around some other ladies that probably thought, it'd be kind of fun to come out and try bowling. And maybe coming out and trying to bowl on the team was the first time they ever picked up a ball, every time put on the shoes.
I had a couple of friends that I convinced to do it.
Do you just have them go, okay, here, go down and throw the ball and see what it looks like? Or, I mean, you kind of give them some pointers. But, I mean, you see there's 10 bowlers out here. You see 10 completely different approaches.
Oh, yeah.
Does it start with, okay, what's comfortable? Now let's work on that.
Yes. Basically, whenever you have someone, so, I mean, like you said, I've had, how am I, 18 years now of, I had to do the quick math there.
Yeah.
18 years of being able to fine tune and really work into my approach and get it the way I want it to look. Whereas if you have, young ladies that this is their first, second, maybe even third year, it's really not about making them look like everybody else and having them have this all same approach and the same release style. We really just want to encourage, do what's comfortable and we'll fine tune it from there. Because there is a certain level of timing involved with your legs and your arms and your body in the swing that comes with everything. So that's the part that they'll work. But in terms of getting it to look the same way, it's, everyone has their own different style.
And the release might change between your first ball and your second ball,
yes.
right? Where you're looking for a curve with your opening ball, trying to hit that pocket and get the pin action. You might straighten that out for your second ball.
Well, see, and that's why a lot of young women, they actually use spare balls. I actually don't have a spare ball. I use my strike ball. I basically will, my first shot will have a lot of hook to it, and then say that I leave a 10-pin, I will adjust how I put my hand in my ball and take a lot of that curve off so I can throw a pretty straight shot.
Okay. And that's really about where your thumb is, right? As far as the rotation is concerned?
Yes, yeah. And how you so for example, when I get up on the lanes, I put my 2 middle fingers in first and then my thumb, and that'll create a lot of lift for me.
Okay.
And I come out of my ball a little emphasis on the middle fingers there, whereas if I was shooting the 10-pin, I put my thumb in first to really get a strong grip on it, and then my fingers, and throw a significantly more straight shot.
Okay. All right. And that's just practice.
Yes. I can't tell you how many times I've been told, if, all 10 pins are out there, okay, just hit the 10-pin.
And now, back when I bowled, which was 107 years ago, when I started, I think I was about the 4th grade when I started league and things like that. And here's Brittany Hastings. Oh, just left one behind. They had us do practice bowling with no pins.
Yep.
Which, to me, kind of seems counterintuitive now, because the whole idea is knocking pins down. But it was about placement.
Yes.
And placing the ball and using the arrows and using the
hitting your mark.
And hitting your mark.
Yep. And that's what a lot of people don't realize.
And they wanted us to focus not looking at the pins necessarily, but looking at those arrows and looking at the lines in front of you so that you can hit that spot. Because if you hit that spot, you're going to hit whatever's down the end of the alley.
Exactly, yeah. That's something a lot of people don't know is that we mark out. That's what all those, why the boards are different, different shades, and you've got the arrows and all the dots on the lanes is you're setting yourself up and you're aligning, and it's a whole lot of geometry and physics behind this is where I'm, this is where I am, this is where I want the ball to be, and this is what I want it to hit.
Jaden Thompson's able to pick up a couple remaining from her split here in the second frame as we are to the final 2 bowlers of the second frame, and a lot of pin action there, but just no luck for Katie Hines to pick up that 7 pin remaining. So she'll have 1 left over. Meanwhile, Kyla Hankins steps up for her second ball here in the second game after Eastmont won the first 780 to 715. And if Eastmont can get the victory here, they have already met Eisenhower once this season, the teams that are all battling for the first spot in the Big Nine, and a beautiful strike there for Kyla Hankins. So Eastmont is 1-1 against Eisenhower. If they can hold on here, they'll be 1-1 against Wenatchee when you start talking about tiebreakers possibly down the road. So big for Eastmont to hold on for the victory.
Yep.
Katie Hines open here in the second. So here we go to the third with Kayla Musgrove, junior for Wenatchee. Good follow through, just didn't get the pins to do what she wanted. Colby Hull, meanwhile, goes Brooklyn, and
still no return.
No.
Sheesh.
And I'm curious about, and I think the terminology in bowling, and I don't know how much of the history you got into or was handed down to you or talked about or anything
Quite a
like
bit.
that. The Brooklyn. Why is it called the Brooklyn?
Oh.
Is that
okay.
a New York reference, literally?
My
or?
mom's going to be so disappointed in me.
Beautiful pickup there for Kayla Musgrove. And a nice pickup as well for Colby Hull. So Brooklyn.
Okay, if I remember correctly, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just, making something up. The middle arrow called the bridge. So when you're going Brooklyn, you're going across the lane, you're going across the bridge. So you're going Brooklyn. If that makes any sense at all.
That would make sense, absolutely.
I could be just,
Have you ever been to the International Bowling Museum in St. Louis, Missouri?
No, I haven't. That is on my bucket list, though.
I went. It was fantastic. I had no idea that bowling was as old as it is as a sport.
Yeah. It's...
And Keglers, I mean, it was originally called Keglers. I'm not sure. Well, this alley used to have Keglers as a name.
Keglers Casino,
That's right.
Yeah, I used to get in trouble for going in there. Going to try to get Dad to go home. And
uh-oh. We might be giving up more than we want to know about here on the NCWLIFE channel.
Sorry, Dad.
No, that's okay. I've told that story, too, that I didn't know our home phone number. The first number I knew was the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Dad, Mom wants you to pick up milk and bread on the way home.
There you go. Yep. I learned home phone, Mom's cell phone, bowling alley.
So with your experience starting at 3, did your parents also teach you how to keep score?
Oh, yes.
By hand?
Yes.
Okay.
That was
Was that a requirement?
I wouldn't say requirement, but there were a lot of things that my parents felt that, Jaylah, if you're going to be a good bowler, you need to know a lot more than just what you're doing on the lane. You need to know a lot of the logistics.
Nice pickup for both Olivia Ellington and for Mackenzie Monroe for both Eastmont and Wenatchee here in the third frame. Wenatchee with covering 2 of the 3 balls so far here in the third. Eastmont has covered all 3. As who's going to go first here? Brittany looks like she's going to go first on lane 7. Nice looking ball, but again, that left lane just, it was something about Now, what do you call the colored lane or the colored boards that are down towards about 2/3 of the way down the alley?
Oh.
Because those are there for a reason as well,
Yeah.
and that's about finding your pocket and your space. I know we got the arrows that's up close
Yeah.
to the bowler. That's
I can't think
don't know, a third of the way down the alley, but then 2/3 of the way down the alley, you've got those 4 miscolored boards that are there.
Yeah. I am drawing a blank on that one.
That's all right.
I usually.
But it's about that on the left lane, on
Yeah.
lane 7 here. It's about right around where those 4 colored boards are,
Mhm.
that the ball really does a little different action than it does over here on lane 8.
Right.
And, oh, nice attempt to try to pick up that washout.
I think
by
that's a little
Jayden
bit more
Thompson.
for measuring out oil patterns than I think the bowler itself. Because
Okay.
rarely do you have to look that far down the
Right,
lane.
right.
So I think that's more.
And if your ball's doing changing a lot between the arrows
Yes.
and those, you got something weird going on.
Yeah, yeah. Then you should be looking that far down the lane.
Nice looking ball there. Got everything but the 10 for Katie Hines. And Kyla Hankins for Wenatchee.
Nice.
I had a coach once say that in reference to luck, you make your own luck. And if you are good at what you are doing, then you will have more luck than others because you are creating your own luck.
Interesting.
Yes. So if you hit that head pin, more often than not, good things can happen for you because you're creating your own luck by having that head pin fly around and maybe pick up something that otherwise would have remained. I don't know. That sounds good.
There you go.
That's a good theory.
We'll go with it. Sounds good.
We're through the third here, and it is Eastmont on top, but only by 10 pins here. 210, or excuse me, I looked at the wrong thing. 210 to 174.
I was like, your mouth's a little off
Yeah,
there.
it was a little off there. Colby Hull for Eastmont on lane 8. Found the pocket, but just the 4 and 7 pins remaining. Meanwhile, difficult pickup, but not impossible here for Kayla Musgrove. What is that?
I believe that's
Is it 8 and 9?
I think that's 5-6.
5-6?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. Just room to put your ball between the two, but no, it'll stay outside. And Colby, a little bit too much across, and so she'll be open here in the 4th. So both leadoff bowlers open in the 4th, and that opens the door for one team or the other. Who will step in and take advantage of it? Kate Ferguson, the 2 Ferguson sisters side by side here, bowling for opposite teams. And the freshman Kate will go first. And she'll go Brooklyn. And she'll get the strike. Here comes older sister Alicia. She'll go traditional and get the strike. Anything you can do.
Standing in a big sister position, I would definitely be like, okay, little sis, watch this.
Olivia Ellington, after getting a couple of tough luck splits, is able to get a strike here. So nice comeback here in the 4th for Olivia. Mackenzie Monroe steps up for Wenatchee. Working off of a cover in the 3rd. And a strike in the 4th.
Nice.
Beauty.
This is where I hope to see both teams, specifically, maybe a little more Wenatchee, just to get into that groove of, okay, let's keep things going.
Brittany Hastings for Eastmont. A collision course at the end of lane 8 for Brittany Hastings' ball. Brittany's got a great game going. She's clear through 4 lanes, or 4 frames. And Jayden Thompson a little high on the head pin, but we'll have the 3-6-10 remaining. Katie Hines working off a spare after being open in the 2nd. Her ball here in the 4th. Ooh, ouch. 5, 8, and 10 remain. Again, not impossible if you can get the left side of the 5 pin. Is that the 5 pin, or is that?
That's your 2 pin.
2 pin.
That's a 2-4-10.
Beautiful job by Jayden Thompson. got to give her some confidence, kind of make her forget about the hand hurt. You pick up a spare like that.
Yeah, hopefully get you back on the right track.
Going for it.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
that 2-pin
jeez.
dances completely around the 10-pin, and the 10-pin sticks its tongue out and says, "Neener, neener." Meanwhile,
oh man,
a strike for Jaylah Hankins. So she's got a turkey.
She's heating up, yeah.
Yes. Appreciate you joining us here on the NCWLIFE channel. Our broadcast brought to you in part by Automoka. Visit one of their 6 locations in the Valley, including the only Automoka with inside seating on 5th Street across from the college. What's your Automoka emergency? Asking for some English was Kayla Musgrove, and she gets the ball to agree. Meanwhile, Colby Hall will strike. How about that? And wouldn't that crank up the heat in this match a little bit if we can get the 5th frame, nothing but strikes.
Yeah. I think everybody can start taking their jackets off now.
Yes. Warming it up in
yeah.
here. So Christy Bingy was telling me yesterday after the match that if you have all of your bowlers bowl strikes in a frame, that's a hangman?
That's if you have all but one.
Oh, all but one. Oh,
yeah.
So you leave one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you about, how you don't want to be the one person to not.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, I got you.
It's called being hung.
So you don't want to be hung.
You don't want to be hung.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And a good ball there. Beauty strike for Alicia Ferguson. Meanwhile, sister Kate will try to pick up her remaining 2 pins. Get a nice strike over on the JV floor on lane 6 over there. Just something about that sound of all those pins dropping all at the same time. Oh, no luck. She was trying to hang on there, but just couldn't quite hang on long enough. We're in the 5th of game 2. They play 2 games and then they play 2 Baker games. And if you're not familiar with bowling in this fashion, and a beautiful strike there for Mackenzie Monroe. And how about Wenatchee? 3 strikes in a row, and that's 2 in a row for Mackenzie Monroe.
Oh my goodness.
Olivia Ellington trying to wish that one down, but it just wouldn't go. Bakers, how do you describe a Baker for someone who's not familiar with the bowling?
Ooh, okay, so you have your lineup, right? You have your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th bowler. Basically, so out of the 10 frames that you have in a game, each bowler will bowl 2 frames. And you'll bowl in the order that you are in lineup. So your leadoff bowler is going to bowl your 1st frame and your 6th frame. Your 2nd bowler will the 2nd and the 7th. Your 3rd, the 3rd frame and the 8th frame. Your 4th bowler, the 9th, or the 4th and the 9th. And then your anchor will bowl your 5th and your 10th frame.
It goes pretty quick.
It goes really quick, especially if you're throwing strikes all the time, which is what you're hoping you'll be doing.
Well, we'll talk about that coming up when we get to the Baker games here, because it's impressive the average that one of these 2 teams has on the Bakers so far this season. Nice pickup for Jaden Thompson. She seems like she's feeling a little bit more of the love here from the lanes and from her teammates. I don't know, she turned around and expected a cheer, and they, you know, you have your different sayings, right? For whatever you holler, they're supposed to holler back, and she did, and didn't really get a response there. Goodness sakes. Leave a girl hanging.
Yeah, seriously.
Jaylah Hankins, meanwhile, working on 3 straight strikes, steps up here in the 5th.
Oh,
there it is. 4 in a row. Brittany Hastings has 1 lone pin remaining here. Starts off a little wide, and it stays wide. Ouch. Well, that certainly opens the door on the way Wenatchee's bowling here. This is a tight match. We are through 5 frames, and it is 376 to 359. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yep. And the thing that's working with...
we're not through yet. We got 1 more bowler to go here in the 5th frame.
Well, the thing that's working with Wenatchee, they've got some strikes that haven't actually been counted into their team total yet. So they're probably actually sitting more at 390 at this point.
Yeah. Katie Hines, the last bowler here to go in the 5th. All but one pin remaining for her. You see the velocity there on the screen. The first one is, I'm trying to figure out those two. They're 17.1 miles an hour and 16.5 miles an hour. What are the two speeds that they're giving us there?
So
is that off the hand and then as it gets down to the pin?
Are you looking at on both 7 and 8?
Yes.
So the one on 7 is going to be whoever bowled on 7. That's how fast they throw their ball.
Okay.
8 is same thing.
Okay. All right.
So in most women this age are only throwing 13, 14, 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, that was 13.8 miles an hour for Katie Hines. So interesting match here as we're at 386 to 359 and Wenatchee working on 4 strikes heading into the 6th going Brooklyn. Kayla Musgrove, 1 left. Colby Hull, meanwhile, gets a little high on the head pin, but gets a little help from domino effect back there, so she's got 1 pin left. In fact, it's the same exact pin on both frames. Both lanes here. Our broadcast on the NCWLIFE channel brought to you by Jefferson, Danielson, Son, and Aylward attorneys, delivering quality and innovative legal services to North Central Washington since 1946. Online at jdsalaw.com. Oh, just enough to get it. Meanwhile, Colby Hull doing the same thing on her lane, so both teams cover to start off the 6th. This one's going to come down to the final ball, I'll bet. And it just kind of has that feel to it. And now a hush falls over the audience.
It's awkward when that happens. Because you're like,
oh, how about that?
Because that's what you want to do with that awkward silence comes over. You want to break it up.
Turkey.
Give them something to cheer about.
For Alicia Ferguson, 3 strikes in a row. Here comes her younger sister, Kate. Goes Brooklyn, has 2 left. And it is fun when they're having success because then you see the smiles, then you see the laughter.
You see the joy that truly, bowling should have.
And it seems right now, at least for Wenatchee, to be feeding one lady off of another. 9 pins there for Mackenzie Monroe. She'll have a definite opportunity for a spare. Meanwhile,
oh my goodness.
Little extra body English for Kate Ferguson. I think she got the whole alley to lean just enough. And I think everybody behind us, too. Everybody's all kind of leaning to the left. And
I'm definitely trying to speak to my ball with my hands on my ball, too.
Olivia Ellington, all but 1 10-pin remains. As Mackenzie Monroe does a nice job picking up hers. And she has really just turned a corner between the first game and the second.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you get really warmed up and in your groove. And
nice smooth ball there and picking it up. Olivia Ellington here for Eastmont, so she covers. So nothing but spares here for Eastmont. A couple of spares and a strike for Wenatchee. Jaden Thompson, meanwhile, turns back towards her coach and her teammates. And now she's all set to go here in the 7th. Also, Jaden working off of a spare.
Get in there.
Beautiful shot.
That's
Beautiful
the best
ball.
shot we've seen from her
all
so
day.
far.
All day. That was found the pocket perfectly, but she gives a high five to her teammate and then grimaces because I think
wrong hand.
sprained her thumb earlier. Now Brittany Hastings trying to answer for Eastmont going Brooklyn. 1 pin remaining for Brittany. Kyla Hankins, meanwhile, is just killing it here. 4 strikes in a row coming into the 6th. Ooh, a little high on the head pin. So
much better outcome than it could have been.
String of 4 in a row comes to an end here in the 6th, but certainly a ball or a pin that she should be able to pick up. Brittany Hastings, meanwhile, tough luck on that one. She's open here in the 6th. And again, that door opens and Wenatchee's moved in front. Now that Kyla Hankins.
41.
Yeah. 485 to 444 with Kyla Hankins still a chance to pick up this one. She's so smooth you can't even hear the ball release. Katie Hines, meanwhile, for Eastmont, working on a spare. Looked like it might have the opportunity, but no, 1 pin remaining for Katie. This game is tight. 1 ball left here in the 6th for Eastmont.
Oof.
Oh, started that wide. It stayed wide, and she's open. And Wenatchee has taken the lead here through 6 as they lead at 487 to 462. Back and forth we go. Now to the 7th as the downhill slide towards the 10th really gets underway here. Kayla Musgrove starts it out wide.
Oh,
and how about that strike there? Colby Hull, meanwhile, looking for the answer. Oh, can't quite get it.
Oh, that'll keep you on your toes.
Alicia Ferguson, who has 3 strikes in a row herself. Coming in the pocket.
Oh. Go out and pulls Wenatchee just a little bit further up.
Colby Hull with the pickup here. Nice job for her. Boy, as a youngster with just 2 years of bowling under her belt, I mean, what she's able to do consistently out there, I'm very impressed with.
Oh, and a beautiful 10-pin pickup.
Nice pickup for Alicia Ferguson. So she covers here in the 6th for Wenatchee. It's like 2 prize fighters duking it out here.
Yeah.
Here comes Kate Ferguson. Gonna have to go Brooklyn. 2 pins remaining. Mackenzie Monroe has really caught fire here. Couple of strikes, couple of spares. Last 4 frames. A little high on the head pin, but certainly a doable spare opportunity for Mackenzie Monroe. Kate started it a little off and just couldn't quite get the lane to tilt for herself that time around. 1 more ball for Mackenzie. This is all about where you use those arrows, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
And she does.
Oh,
I was going to give it to her before it happened. 7 pins in the first ball down for Olivia Ellington. Our broadcast here on the NCWLIFE channel brought to you by Weinstein Beverage Company, a family-owned business proud to support local high school teams. Find them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram. They're also on the web at WeinsteinBeverage.com. I saw the Pepsi truck out here yesterday getting all of the shelves stocked in time for the big match here today. This is a very busy bowling alley, folks.
Oh, yes. This was my first job, actually.
Really?
Yep.
And what did you do here?
I was the arcade and party manager.
Oh.
Yeah. I actually interviewed for the job like 2-3 days before my 16th birthday and started work the day after I turned 16.
Kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom and the owner put my application in without my knowledge.
By the way, we applied you for a job. You need to get out of the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Jaden Thompson with a nice pickup of her single pin remaining, so she covers. Brittany Hastings, last couple of frames have been open, so she's trying to get back here, and that will help a lot with a strike here for the Eastmont Wildcats. You know, I kind of kid about this. This is the only sport that we cover, that I cover, where you can eat while you're participating in your sport.
Cautiously.
Cautiously. That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Did you have a ritual? Did you have a certain type of food, certain type of drink?
I did, actually. Yellow Gatorade.
Superstitious, were you?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I always had a yellow Gatorade with me while I was bowling just because I'm not a big water drinker. Well, at least I wasn't. I'm more so now that I'm getting older and there's benefits to it. When I was younger, I was definitely a flavored beverage drinker, and I loved the yellow Gatorade because it also gave me the electrolytes that, because this is if your stamina's not up, this game, by after, 2 games, you're already starting to feel a little tired, muscles a little sore. Oof.
Almost.
So it was a great thing to kind of keep me going throughout the day. especially as I started doing other tournaments where we were bowling 8 games a day.
So did you eat at all during your matches?
The high school ones, no. We, because it's so quick and it just consistent game after game.
Sure.
Other tournaments where they take a lunch break, yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm usually a big turkey sandwich eater on my lunch break, yeah.
Okay.
Turkey sandwich and yellow Gatorade.
Okay, all right. The inside workings of the mind.
Body fuel.
So here we go to the 8th. By the way, 588 to 532 the scores we're heading in, and a beautiful strike for Kayla Musgrove, and right there on top of it is Colby Hall with a strike. So the leadoff bowlers here really setting the tone for both teams. Now it's up to the rest to see if they can follow. Alicia Ferguson gonna work on that right here.
Nice. Oh my, not enough cooperation
A
there.
little tap by the pin over by the 10, but there was nobody home. Kate Ferguson. If there's points to be had for someone trying to physically will the ball once it's released and heading down the alley, that would be Kate Ferguson.
Yes.
Nice pickup for Alicia.
Reminds me a lot of Eastmont alum Cheyenne Greening used to do a lot of jumping and waving.
And a beautiful pickup there for Eastmont's Kate Ferguson. Now, there was a good bowler. You mentioned Miss Greening.
Yep.
She's still in the area?
Yes, she is actually. Yes, I see her at my work.
Okay. 8 for Olivia Ellington, who started things off with a bang here today for Eastmont with a 221. High score for Wenatchee in game 1 was Kyla Hankins with a 205. 1 pin remaining here. Hang on. And it does for Mackenzie Monroe, who has completely turned her game around between game 1 and game 2 here.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, 2 pins to pick up, and nice pickup there for Olivia Ellington for Eastmont. 637 for Wenatchee to 572 for Eastmont at this point in this match as we're in the 8th. The 4th bowler for each team stepping up. Jaden Thompson will go first.
She looks...
She's strong. She's got the pocket. She's got the feel.
She's looking like she's throwing a really nice ball, so I'm hoping that that's not causing her any more pain than it was earlier. I'm hoping that
yeah, she had a definite wince on her face when she would let go of that ball, that's for sure. Brittany Hastings going to go Brooklyn here, just a little bit high on the head pin, has 2 pins left to go. Our broadcast today here on the NCWLIFE channel brought to you by Washington Trust Bank. Whatever your awesome is, they'll help you get there. Watching some awesome bowling here today, as Kyla Hankins will have 1 pin remaining.
Has a look of relief that it wasn't the 710.
Brittany Hastings, meanwhile, that ball's going to have to hang. Nope, it will not. So she's open here in the 8th for Eastmont. So were you superstitious or were you just about a routine?
Okay, I was, well, all right. I wasn't superstitious, but I was a little stitious. My sister will appreciate that one. But no, I definitely just like to stick to a routine. Like I showed up, I put my shoes on early enough to kind of get, broken in with them and get the feel for it, get my thumb tape on, get my, all done up, get my yellow Gatorade, and I would stretch. I would lead all the stretches for the team, and it was just kind of about, okay, this is how we get going, this is how we get in the flow. And sometimes for other for other tournaments, I would put music in and kind of get into my own headspace and get rid of anything that was giving me grief that week.
Well, that's something about sports that gives you an outlet that I don't know. I just find it difficult to believe that anything else can give you that outlet where you can take the weight of the world and your social life and your studies and parents and drama and leave it at the door, come out to whatever your sport of choice is.
Yep.
And like come out here and just try to kill some pins for a while.
Yeah.
Take 2 hours. Just come out here, throw a ball down, and put faces of those that you don't like on those pins.
That's what I was going to say. I usually don't even leave it at the door. I just project it onto the pins and just say, that's what I'm trying to get out of my life.
And for 2 hours, you can shed that. And then it's amazing how better you feel
Relieving.
after the fact.
Yeah.
Ooh, tough split here for Alicia Ferguson.
I've always said bowling was the cheapest form of therapy I could get myself.
Nice attempt at a pickup on for Colby Hull there for Eastmont. Will be open in the 9th.
Oof.
And
Looking to
getting
pick up that
one
6.
of the 2, and it could come down to pin counts once again between these 2 teams. So Alicia Ferguson open in the 9th as well. Kate Ferguson will step up on lane 7 here for Eastmont. Go Brooklyn. There she got it. Wenatchee's Mackenzie Monroe, meanwhile, has got a pretty good game going for herself, working off of a spare in the 8th. A little high on the head pin, and the 6.
7-10.
7-10.
I think I've picked this up once in my entire
Really?
life. Yes.
That's impressive just to do it once.
Well, what's funny is I was like 11.
Really?
Yeah. I don't tend to leave those as often anymore, but oof.
And that hurts.
That's the exact way you want to approach it. Just
We're trying to slide that 6 over and knock out the 7.
Yep.
While the ball takes care of the 10. This is 2 pins stacked on top of each other. You got to hit that pretty square, and that's not what happened for Olivia Ellington there. Jaden Thompson struck 2 of the last 3. She's got a good game going. Let's see if she can find the pocket again. Oh, no. Doesn't get any help from that pin over on 7 either.
Yep. Same exact thing, just without the 10.
Yep. It's interesting, I thought, in looking at those propensity of picking up spares, that the 7-10 would be the hardest. It was not listed as the hardest in the bowling site that I found where it was talking about propensity of picking up spares. Which because you've got to basically slide the 10 over to the 7.
Yeah, that.
Or get a lot of action off of the cage behind, basically.
Yep. Usually a lot of people who I've seen pick up the 7-10, it's because they have so much force behind their ball that as it's just leaving the lane, it knocks that, gets some reaction out of that ball to send that 7 and or 10 into the other.
So we got a lot of openness here in this 9th frame for both teams. Kyla Hankins going to try to change that here for Wenatchee.
Nice.
She does. Sets herself up nicely heading into the 10th. Meanwhile, we'll see if Katie Hines can duplicate. And that she does. Nice ball for Katie Hines. So we're at 7:55 for Wenatchee, 6:76 for Eastmont after the Wildcats won game 1, 780 to 715. Going to come right down to the 10th here. And we could be tied at a game apiece heading into Bakers.
Which is a nice place to be sitting because that means those Bakers are going to be intense.
Oh, and a split for Kyla Musgrove, opening the door for Eastmont. Meanwhile, a strike for Colby Hull to start off the 10th frame.
Knock on the door for Eastmont. They will answer.
There we go. So that is the split here for Kyla, or for Kayla, is the 4-7-6.
So 4-6-7.
4-6-7. She's going to split the uprights there. 3 points in football, nothing here for you on the bowling alley, unfortunately. So she will finish with a 172. Nothing to sneeze at, definitely for Kayla Musgrove. And almost a strike for Colby. She's one of the most demonstrative people that I've seen in a long time out there on the lanes. Here comes Alicia Ferguson. Gonna need some help. Got 3 pins left. Colby Hull finishing up her second game and does so nicely with a spare and finishes with a 169. Nice bounce back for her after a 121 in her first game. Closing the gap here is Eastmont. 3 pins left for Alicia Ferguson, but Sister Kate will throw her first ball in the 10th. Gonna have to go Brooklyn again. Wiggle, wiggle. Won't fall. Alicia trying to pick it up. She does. Nice job. 1 more ball to go for Alicia Ferguson. Kate, 2 pins remaining. Starts it way out right, coming back left. Gonna have to get a little English. Too much crossover there for her, so she'll be open in the 10th, but a 168 for her. Alicia Ferguson, meanwhile, with her final ball, goes a little high on the head pin there.
That's one of those moments you go, glad that's my last one.
179 she will finish with. So both teams really stepping up here in game 2. Miss Ellington is out of the pocket at this one and going to have to do a little work here to finish up this spare. Mackenzie Monroe, meanwhile, looks over at Olivia and says, all right, if I go? Certainly. So the junior will roll, starts it out a little wide, caught a piece of the head pin anyway. She'll have 3 makeable pins left. Ooh, close. No cigar. However, for Olivia Ellington, she'll finish with a 138. And with her open there, and Mackenzie Monroe, if she can cover this, I think that might be the match right there. Or not the match, but this game.
Well,
anyway.
yeah.
And looks like she did. Nice job of covering for Mackenzie Monroe. How about her in her second bounce back game here? Brittany Hastings, meanwhile, for Eastmont. Oh. Got a little carom off the wall, split a couple of pins. She'll take that strike. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, Mackenzie going to wrap up her second game here. Starts it out wide. 6 in her final ball. And she will finish with a 153 for Wenatchee. Brittany. Ball number 2 after a strike. Going to miss the pocket on this one, but certainly a makeable spare for her. Jaden Thompson, meanwhile, talking about a bounce back here this afternoon after injury earlier today. Took her out of the first game. Now back here in game 2.
Looks good coming off her hand. Ooh, a little bit high.
Oh, goodness. Are you kidding me? Oh. Nice pickup for Brittany. It's been a challenge for her here today on some of the spares, but she gets hers and finishes with a 148. Meanwhile, Jaden Thompson, one of the most difficult pickups you can find. Oh, there she wiggles that hand again.
It's all right.
She got 2.
Now she'll get a little bit of a break to
She'll finish with a 141. Yeah, take that brace off and put some ice on. And here, Katie Hines wrapping it up for Eastmont. It appears that Wenatchee's going to hang on and win this one. So we'll be tied at a game apiece heading into the Bakers. And a strike for Kyla Hankins to start things off in the 10th. Katie Hines, nice pickup there on her spare. 1 more ball to go for Katie, sitting at 140 right now. Kyla at 193. Still a couple of balls left to go here in the 10th for the Panthers. So smooth with her release. And a strike again. Katie Hines going Brooklyn. 8, almost 9 pins. She'll finish with a 148. So Eastmont at 771 here in game 2. One more ball for Kyla Hankins. Started a little wide. Comes back in nicely though, and a beautiful finish for Kyla Hankins, and a 223 and 868. The win for Wenatchee to Eastmont 771. So how about that? We're tied at a game apiece. Heading into the Bakers, don't you go anywhere, because this is going to come right down to the wire. It was a pin count total to determine the winner first time around. I think we might have that once again. We'll take a break and come back. You're watching Big Nine Bowling, Eastmont and Wenatchee on the NCWLIFE channel.
At Harvest Valley Pest Control, we know you are committed to making your home and business a healthy and pest-free place. Hi, I'm David. Give us a call and we'll give you a firm price over the phone and schedule a time that works for you. We will do an in-depth 30-point healthy home or business inspection and craft a customized plan of action designed specifically for your pest issue. Give us a call or visit our website today.
At Town Toyota, we believe in our community, and we're proud to support this broadcast of local sports. Town Toyota defines reliability and value in both its products and in the dealership itself. We are home to legendary products like the RAV4, Highlander, and Camry, not to mention Tundras and Tacoma trucks. Of course, we offer service for everything we sell, and a great selection of pre-owned and certified vehicles as well. So enjoy the game and visit Town Toyota for all your automotive needs.
Well, just about ready for the first of our two Bakers, as we have a very tight match going on between Eastmont and Wenatchee. Along with Jaylah Young, I'm Eric Granstrom on the NCWLIFE channel. It was a 65-pin differential after the first game, 780 to 715. Eastmont coming out on top, winning the first game. Wenatchee, however, came back strong in game 2. Behind the 223 from Kyla Hankins, a 179 from Alicia Ferguson, a 172 from Kayla Musgrove, and they outpinned Eastmont 868 to 771, and that is a 32-pin total pin count lead for Wenatchee as we head into the Bakers. And Jaylah, this is going to be fun.
Oh, this is going to be real fun.
They have the lights turned on down at the end of the alley, so we're about ready to start this. And again, this will go very quickly. And I didn't get any changes from the coaches, so I think we're going to stick with the 5 that we have. So it'll be Colby Hull, Kate Ferguson, Olivia Ellington, Brittany Hastings, and Katie Hines. That's the lineup for Eastmont. Kayla Musgrove, Alicia Ferguson, Mackenzie Monroe, Jaden Thompson, and Kyla Hankins for Wenatchee. Mackenzie Monroe, you got to give her credit. She bounced back from a 136 in the first game to a 153 in the second, and that was key for the Wenatchee Panthers behind the 223 of Kyla, the 179 of Alicia, and 172 from Kayla. And Kayla really set the table for the rest of the team in that leadoff spot. Strategy for this, is there any? Basically, you want to cover, right?
Yes.
You just want to be clean.
Keep the pace. Pick up your spares. Every single pin that you can pick up here is going to matter, and it's going to count. So keeping your cool. If you make a bad shot, blow it off, move on, and then come back even stronger. And feed off the energy of your other teammates, because that's huge here. I remember this was one of the biggest moments of hype during our matches.
And 9 for Kayla Musgrove. Meanwhile, Colby Hull, a little high on the head pin. She'll have 3 left to pick up. Again, the Baker format is definitely team bowling. You have your leadoff bowler rolling here in the first frame, and then it just continues through the lineup. So your second bowler will roll the second, your third bowler the third, and so on until you get through the 10th frame. And we've got 2 of these bakers set up, and just a little bit high is Jaylah Musgrove. Meanwhile, a spare picked up by Colby Hall. So Eastmont with the early advantage. Your coaches seem to get a little more involved at this point as well.
Yes, exactly.
Jeremy Andrews, though, sitting back in a chair behind his team. If he could be pacing, he would be pacing right now.
He would be running.
8 pins for Kate Ferguson. Meanwhile, it is Mackenzie Monroe that goes first here. So they did change the lineup as far as the order of which they're bowling. So Mackenzie Monroe will be the second bowler for Wenatchee. And oh, just a little bit too far left for Kate Ferguson on that pickup. So Eastmont open here in the second lane. Meanwhile, Mackenzie Monroe will try to pick up these 3 pins. Oh, goodness. It's open as well. Now Olivia Ellington for Eastmont. Gonna have to go Brooklyn. She does. So the advantage again to Eastmont. Jaden Thompson, meanwhile, will step up here for Wenatchee.
Looks good.
There's a strike. Nice answer for Wenatchee as Jaden Thompson. Again, they shook the lineup a little bit here with Alicia Ferguson dropping down to the 4th person in the rotation. Brittany Hastings going Brooklyn. We'll have a couple of pins to finish up here. Meanwhile, Alicia Ferguson for Wenatchee on lane 7.
Oof.
Starts it a little far left, gonna stay left. She'll have 3 to clean up there in her first action here in the 5th for Wenatchee. Meanwhile, nice job by Brittany Hastings to pick up her spare. So Eastmont is clean in its 4th frame. Your anchor bowlers will come up in the 5th and then again in the 10th. Alicia Ferguson trying to pick up a spare. And she does. Nice job. Here comes Katie Hines for Eastmont. No. Hit the pocket, just no luck. Kyla Hankins, anchor for Wenatchee. Her first ball in the 5th.
Beautiful, beautiful.
No,
oh,
just
geez.
did not get the bounce he was looking for.
Oh my gosh.
So the Bakers, interesting on the season for these 2 teams. Eastmont's Bakers have averaged a 155 on the season. That seems a little high. I mean, that's pretty good bowling right there.
It's not uncommon. It's not. Eastmont has always been really strong in the Bakers.
Wenatchee, meanwhile, with a 137 average in the Bakers. And Kyla Hankins, oh my gosh, she knew that as soon as she let it go. Hands went to the head. There we go, second time through the order. As we go to the 6th, a little high on the head pin was Colby Hull. Back and forth we go. 92 to 66 is our score right now. Eastmont working in the 6th, and Wenatchee just starting their 6th with Jaylah Musgrove. High end, able to avoid the split there. And a beautiful pickup for Colby Hull. How about the sophomore coming through here for Eastmont?
I think that's our first, we call those baby splits. I think that's the first baby split conversion we've seen today.
It is. So now Kate Ferguson for Eastmont.
Going Brooklyn.
Man, she got it. Good crowd on hand making some noise behind us here at Eastmont Lanes. Jaylah Musgrove going for the spare. Gonna go high, and she got it.
She hung on just enough.
3-pin helped clean things up for her. Olivia Ellington.
A little too on the nose there.
Eastmont already into the 8th, while Wenatchee is just getting into the 7th here. So we're a little bit out of sync as far as the game itself here in this first Baker. And Musgrove a little overthrew on that one, so she'll have some work to do on the cleanup. Meanwhile, Olivia Ellington will get the spare barely. So Eastmont sitting at a 134 on a spare heading into the 9th. Meanwhile, in the 7th is Mackenzie Monroe. Toes the line. Gets the arrow she wants. Approaches. Good release.
It looks good.
Nice pickup for Mackenzie Monroe. Huge here in the 7th. Again, Wenatchee is a whole frame behind Eastmont, so the score on the board really not reflective right now of what's going on. Meanwhile, Brittany Hastings, has a little split to work on there. Jaden Thompson, doors open.
Oh.
Got it.
Oh my goodness.
Was that headpin that caromed off the wall, came back and didn't clean it up?
Oh my gosh.
Woof. All right, so Brittany Hastings, let's see if she can pick this one up. This is tough one here. Not gonna do it. Just get this the 1. So it's open for Eastmont in the 9th there at 149. Jaden Thompson with a huge single pin remaining here in the 8th for Wenatchee. That looks good. Nice job by Jaden Thompson. Katie Hines, meanwhile, here in the 10th.
The whole staying a frame behind sometimes actually plays into favor for Wenatchee.
Oh, sure. Oh, and a split for Katie.
We used to do that a lot where we'd be like, okay, you set the bar, we'll come get you.
1 pin remaining for Alicia Ferguson. Door open. If Kyla can pull off a little magic in the 10th for Wenatchee. Oh my gosh. This is doable. Katie looking for some pin action. Just going to get the 1. So it's a 158 for Eastmont. And a pickup for Alicia Ferguson.
All right.
131 heading into the final frame here.
And the cool thing is we're only 27 behind at the moment. So Kyla just really needs strike spare.
All tied at a game apiece after the first 2 games. This is the end of the first Baker. Kyla Hankins. And a strike.
Nice.
That puts Wenatchee right now at 151. And that's where you love to have your best bowler as your anchor bowler. Help
exactly.
Just wrap it up here. Again, Wenatchee had a 32-pin lead in the match coming in. And another strike. And that's going to give Wenatchee the first Baker. So it's all going to come down to the final Baker here.
Yep. Or pinfall. And they're sitting,
pinfall,
picking up some more pins here, so increasing their lead.
Yeah. Right now the lead at 3 pins, and Kylie with 1 more ball
13?
here. And she will. How about that? 171 for Wenatchee. 158 for Eastmont. 13 pin advantage, and that gives them 45 now in the match as we head into the final Baker. They will change sides. Wenatchee will roll on lane 8. Eastmont will move over to lane 7. The battle for first place in the Big 9. Still a lot of season left to go here after Christmas and after the New Year. But this could go a long way to determine who's going to win the Big 9 regular season championship. Here we go on the second Baker. First ball in the second Baker. Trying to go Brooklyn a little high on the head pin as Kayla Musgrove. Meanwhile, Eastmont's Colby Hull stepping up. Just did not get the pin action, so the 2 leadoff bowlers will have the exact same pickup to try to get here. Kayla Musgrove junior for Wenatchee. Looking good. Looking good. Spare to start for Wenatchee. Now the sophomore, Kobe Hull. Can she answer? Looking good. Got it.
Okay.
But for Eastmont, not only do they have to win this game, this Baker,
they
got to get some advantages in the pin count. Mackenzie Monroe, 8 in her first ball. It all is about pin count right now. Here comes Kate Ferguson for Eastmont, going Brooklyn again, and the splits remaining for Kate Ferguson. Let's see what Mackenzie Monroe can do with these 2 pins remaining, the 4 and the 7 in lane 8.
Awesome.
Got it. Wenatchee.
Just need a little bit more angle on the dangle.
Open for Eastmont in the second. Jaden Thompson. I mean, if she doesn't come back and bowl in that second game, I don't think Wenatchee's in this position right now.
Yeah.
Honestly.
She was instrumental for this.
A little high on the head pin, 3 remaining. Here comes Olivia Ellington. That's high, and a 4-7-10 split for Eastmont. That might be the match right there. That very well could be the match.
Well,
I mean, long way to go.
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm turning to my father here, waving my finger at you. It's not over yet.
Jaden Thompson. Oh, she started it wide. See?
See?
Okay.
You know?
All right. I'll shut up now.
Listen to Mother.
Meanwhile, Olivia, watch her pick this up.
You know, stranger things have happened.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was close.
Oh man.
That was close.
Yeah, you really can't.
Parents or grandparents at home right now are screaming at me. They're like, "Would you just stop?
Shut up, Eric."
Just be quiet. Okay, I'll be quiet. Meanwhile, Alicia Ferguson for Wenatchee with 3 pins remaining. Here comes Brittany Hastings for Eastmont. Started it wide.
Oh.
Alicia started it. Oh, it's open. And the 4th for Wenatchee. So Brittany can cover here. Kind of give a little life back to Eastmont.
Mm-hmm. Give them just a little bit of extra pins.
She got it. Kyla Hankins, a 205 and a 223 today. 3 strikes in the first. Baker in the 10th. Ooh, went a little high on the head pin here. Got 1 remaining. Katie Hines, meanwhile, in the 5th here for Eastmont. Strike could go a long way. Oh, are you kidding me?
Eric.
Oh, goodness.
I would just like to go on record and say that
It's all me. It's all my
am
fault.
not
It's all my
calling
fault.
any of these beforehand.
I'm just saying that a strike would have gone a long way
yeah.
to help out the cause there. Kyla Hankins, meanwhile, covers in her 5th. And again, Katie could certainly pick this up.
Oh yes, it's hard, but it's not impossible. And she's got some good. Oh yes!
She got it.
She had some great leverage there. That was
That's fantastic. Way to go, Katie Hines. Making me look like an idiot. Of course, I handle that
I think you do
mostly
that all on
my
your own. Yeah.
I do. Going Brooklyn,
Awesome.
strike for Kayla Musgrove. Colby Hull, can she answer? 2 pins remaining. For both teams, really, that lane 7 has just been not quite where they want to be.
Right.
It seems that more success has happened for both teams today on lane 8.
Yep. And that's really,
And
I'm
that gets
sure,
into your head, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure going into this Baker, Eastmont was moving over. They're going, oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, and a strike. Beautiful ball for Mackenzie Monroe. Colby Hull picks up her 2 pins remaining. Right now through 6, it's 101 for Wenatchee, 81 for Eastmont. Jaden Thompson, meanwhile, looks like we've got the, okay, pins are now reset. Took a little longer than she was hoping for, so she'll retreat and give way to Kate Ferguson.
She's going Brooke. Ooh, leaves a solid 5-pin.
Jaden Thompson, comeback player of the day.
Sitting up with 2, so anything here would be great. But if she can answer with 3.
Ooh, goodness. High on the head pin and a split remaining for her. So Kate Ferguson, big pin to pick up here for Eastmont. And she's got it. Nice job by Kate. She's done for the day. She can kind of come back here and take a deep breath, big gulp of air, and cheer on her teammates as they wrap up the final 3 frames here in this second Baker. High on the head pin again. Got a little help there. 1 pin remaining. Jaden Thompson wants to get 3 if she can get a little help. A little skid over on that 3 pin. We'll see if she can do it.
She might just. Oh,
that ball took a hook down there.
Yeah, I was not expecting all that
left
reaction
turn in
down
Albuquerque.
there.
And a nice job by Olivia Ellington to cover her 8th frame. So we go to the 9th, 123 to 119. It's, I think, might come down to pin count.
Ooh,
and a strike. Make me wrong again.
Alicia says, be quiet, Eric.
Yeah. She's like, what are you talking about there? Here comes Brittany Hastings. Going Brooklyn.
Oh, Eastmont is not done yet. Do not count them out.
They shall not go quietly into the night. Kyla Hankins, meanwhile, for Wenatchee, just going to try to put the plug in the jug, as they say.
Looks good.
Beautiful ball for Kyla.
All right.
Katie Hines for
What's she going to answer
Eastmont.
with?
Oh!
Wow.
Okay.
Would be 5-7 into a strike.
Strike.
Jeez.
Right now we sit at 159 for Eastmont, 153 for Wenatchee. Kyla Hankins, second ball in the 10th.
Oh, no help there.
9. Katie Hines. Eastmont's been clean since the 3rd.
Oh, boy.
Brooklyn.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
9.
Oh.
It is a 6-pin lead for Eastmont.
This is really going to come down to these spares here. Both
this Baker.
very doable.
Kyla
She's
picks
got
up
it.
hers. So even if Eastmont, Eastmont's going to win this Baker, it'll be Wenatchee winning the match on pin count. And how about that?
Yeah.
Comes down to pin count once
Yes.
again between these two teams. Incredible.
I am not surprised at all.
Katie Hines, meanwhile, wrapping it up for Eastmont. Does a nice job picking up the spare. It'll be a 178 for Eastmont to 172 for Wenatchee. Just 6-pin differential. So Wenatchee will win the match by 39 pins here today. How about that?
Jeez.
We will talk to a couple of the bowlers. We'll talk to the coaches when we come back here on the postgame show. You've been watching Big 9 Bowling here on the NCWLIFE channel. Wenatchee nips Eastmont by pin count. We'll come back with a postgame right after this.
Hi there. It's Les Schwab Tires. Well, more like Les Schwab alignment and brakes and shocks and wheels and tires. Now, some tire places don't offer all that. They only sell tires. And we're not sure how they sleep at night, because all those services affect things like steering and stopping. That's why we offer more than tires to help keep you safe. Stop by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
My awesome is being part of the Nez Perce tribe. We have a tourism company and we highlight the history and culture of the Nez Perce people. I found Washington Trust Bank because they were very involved in the community. They believed in me. They definitely saw the need for this in our region. All the folks at Washington Trust Bank are phenomenal. They've done such a wonderful job helping me along my journey.
What's your awesome? Whatever it is, we'll help you get there.
Well, again, it comes down to a pin count between Wenatchee and Eastmont, and I think that's kind of fitting as the Wenatchee Panthers get the victory here today. And Kyla Hankins joining us here along with Jeremy Anders on the postgame show. And again, Kyla, just miss consistency here for the Wenatchee Panthers with a 205 and a 223. Talk about this for you, and do you feel any pressure at this point when you play these guys?
Not really at this point. I mean, we've bowled them for 3 years, I have, and it's fun bowling them every time.
Is it more pressure that you put on yourself maybe to roll your game?
Yeah, I definitely put more pressure on myself than I do the team against them.
Obviously important for Jaden Thompson to come back after the injury to her hand today. How important was that for you, looking at your teammate going, man, I hope we can get her back for the rest of this. If she doesn't come back, I don't know if you guys win today.
It was really important that she came back. I mean, she kind of sets me up for my end, and we kind of just hype each other up throughout the whole game. So,
Coach, I'm sure you would agree about Jaden and kind of toughing it out today.
Yeah, it was big for her to come back up there. You know, we brought Cammie up because Jaden was struggling, sent her back on JV, rest the hand a little bit, kind of get some ice on there and find her mark again. You know, we were down so much that first game that the girls, though, they piped back up there. Every one of them stepped up that second game, and we saw, I think that's their second best score of the year right there. So, I mean, everybody stepped up, and it was lights out from there.
Again, are you surprised at this point that it's so tight between you and Eastmont anytime you guys play?
I mean, even back when I think the very first match when I was an Eastmont coach, and we didn't have a strong team that very first year at Eastmont, and we had a couple matches that came down to, I mean, I can probably count, there's probably been at least 9 or 10 matches, including district terms, that have come down to pin count. And it's just, these two programs do a great job. For so many years, they've done a great job. And that just shows you how strong the bowling is in our valley. It's exciting for the fans, I'm sure, exciting for the parents. Nervous as a coach and a bowler, but it's exciting.
Yeah, we were talking about whether or not you'd be pacing back and forth. It looked like you kind of anchored yourself in a chair so you wouldn't be. I wanted to talk about the lanes here today. It looked like 7 kind of gave both teams a little bit of a fit here. When you guys are switching over for that second Baker and you know, okay, we got a pin count lead here, we need to maybe get this. Did you feel more confident going over to lane 8 than lane 7?
I felt more confident on 7 than I did 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. So it was a little bit of a struggle for me.
So talk about I mean, you guys are now first place, looks like. Still a lot of bowling left to go here, but I know you want to have the district tournament right here, right?
Yes, it's definitely better to bowl at home.
Well, congratulations on the win again today to the both of you. And we'll talk to Christy Bingham coming up, as well as their anchor bowler, Katie Hines, coming up as we continue here on the postgame show as Wenatchee nips Eastmont again in pin count here on the NCWLIFE channel.
No calories, no sweeteners, all smiles. Bubbly sparkling water. Crack a smile.
Hi, I'm Ricardo, and this is Amanda, and we are from Impact Auto Sales.
Where you can expect a hassle-free car buying experience. With our wide selection of used cars, trucks, and SUVs, let one of our friendly sales staff help you find the vehicle that fits your lifestyle. We have financing available for all credit types and great low rates for first-time buyers. Call us today at 888-8000 or stop by 3522 State Highway 97A in Wenatchee. Impact Auto Sales, where we strive to make an impact on your life and not your wallet.
Well, the postgame show continues here on the NCWLIFE channel, where the Eastmont Wildcats just fall in pin count again today here to the Wenatchee Panthers. A tough one, but joining us here on the postgame show, we have Katie Heinz as well as Coach Christy Binging. Well, Katie, tough match, but you guys probably knew that was going to happen today, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure. It was a tough one.
Tell me about you guys get out to a good start. The lanes looked a little tough today. I thought that 7 was kind of giving you guys fits, but they were just telling me that Kayla was just telling me that she liked 7. Did you have a favorite lane today?
I preferred 7 over 8 for sure.
Okay. All right. Shows what I know. Absolutely nothing. It proves once again. But a little bit of adjustment for both teams to get started. But you guys rolled really well in that first game. Talk about that for you and how much confidence you had coming in after that from Eisenhower win yesterday.
I think we all thought pretty well of it, but everyone has their different days.
Coach, talk about this one. I mean, it seems every time you guys meet each other, it's a split 2-2, and then it comes down to pin count.
And actually, I like that because that's points for us and points against them eventually in the end. And since everybody's been tied in the league, the top 3 teams, Eisenhower, us, and Wenatchee. I don't know what Moses Lake did today because they could be tied up there too. Right. You never know. So.
Talk about Olivia came up with a big game in her first game. I think that was her second highest game she's ever rolled. Nice to have that, isn't it?
Yes. It's good to see. Nice release, good hand position, and she was relaxed. You could tell by her shoulders that she was relaxed when she was up there rolling the ball, and she was enjoying what she was doing and having fun, and that helps to bowl a good game.
Well, I almost said Samantha a few times when I was talking about you today. You guys look a lot alike. Does your sister give you any tips as far as this particular match when you come against Wenatchee?
Yeah, all the time. She's always critiquing it, but in a good way.
Okay. All right. Well, a lot of bowling left to go. You guys got to still feel pretty confident about where you are right now, don't you?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, coach and player, congrats on the game today. Didn't get it, but they still got it. Like she was saying, got points. That's what counts in the end. That's for sure. We're going to come back and talk to Jaylah Young about this one and wrap it up as we continue here at Eastmont Lanes, where Wenatchee nips Eastmont on the NCWLIFE channel.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you get 35 years of experience and customer service in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's friendly staff strongly believe in repairing before replacing and service all major brands of HVAC units. Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning is your local, independent, trained comfort specialists, proudly serving all of North Central Washington. Call 884-6444 today.
Well, once again, we shouldn't be surprised at this point. It comes down to pin count between Wenatchee and Eastmont, where Wenatchee gets it by 39 pins as the two teams split the 2 games and the 2 Bakers here today. Jaylah Young, thank you, first of all, for joining us on the broadcast.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
So your final thoughts on this one, still a lot of bowling left to go, still a lot of season left to go, and I think these 2 are still going to be atop the Big 9 when it's all said and done.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's, they amaze me every year that with how many seniors are graduating every year that these 2 teams still remain 2 of the best in Washington State.
Now, you told me that you don't bowl nearly as much as you used to. So coming out here and being part of this today, we're going to find you out here rolling sometime soon?
It was very nostalgic, and I was just talking to another alumni that I need to be getting here much more than I currently am, and I'm going to have my mom and dad hold me accountable to that.
Well, thanks for your perspective on this today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes. For Jaylah Young and for Dan Kuntz, our engineer and producer here on the location, and to you for watching. Thank you so much, as it's Wenatchee over Eastmont, again, just barely on the NCWLIFE channel. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching High School Sports on the NCWLIFE channel. Tonight's broadcast was brought to you by Harvest Valley Pest Control, Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, Global Car Care, Confluence Health, Les Schwab Tires, Biosports Physical Therapy, Impact Auto Sales, the Highlander Golf Course and Grill, Town Toyota, Automocha, JDSA Law, and Weinstein Beverage. This concludes today's coverage of high school sports on your home for local sports, the NCWLIFE channel.